little bit. Hold on. Whoa, we got problems. There we go. 1, 2, 1, 2. How's that? There we go. Sometimes too many knobs. That's what I say. That's too many knobs in this world. Don't need this many knobs. I prefer switches. They're more definite. It's either up or it's down. Knobs, too much variance. Don't like that. I am an absolutist. Hi, everybody. Welcome into the High Noon Rant. I'm Pugs Moran. We do this every Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. And it's an exercise in narcissism, to be sure, but also an attempt to perform a stream of consciousness each and every day on the subject of hot topics, headlines, current events, whatever it is that's happening today. So what I do is compile a list of all of the big news events, everything that's happening, everything that people are buzzing about. And then I just, at around this time every day, 12, the rant begins somewhere around there. I just start streaming. I just start talking about the world. And you folks, so many of you have been so kind to join in the chat room. Come into the chat room. Come one, come all. What is a stream of consciousness? Well, it is just an unabridged free flow of thought. Now, we try and keep it tethered to the overall subject of current events, but sometimes we get in the weeds and then, you got to back the truck up. Beep, beep, beep. As I say, we do it every Monday through Friday. We've been doing it every Monday through Friday for 3 years now here on the RadioMisfits.com podcast and live streaming network. Say hi to our friends in the chat room. The chat room is what really keeps this thing chucking along. I mean, I'm serious. I can't tell you how important my permanent chat people are. What's going to happen if this goes away? What are we all going to do? I just don't know. So much to talk about today. First and foremost, off the top of my head, can we get a group amen shout on this? I think we need to convince UPS to change them trucks. What? Pugs, what do you mean change them trucks? Those giant brown billboards. I mean, of course, it's fantastic branding, except I gotta believe that truck for some reason, and it doesn't have to be coming to my house. If that truck is somewhere on my block, my dog goes nuts. She doesn't know what's going on. She just knows that's a weird looking truck, and why is it all the same color? I think that's what my dog thinks when she sees it. She sees that as a threat because my dog lives her life in fear of things she doesn't understand. And unfortunately, she's kind of stupid. So there's a whole lot that she does not understand. UPS trucks being one of them. However, today, while walking her, I was on the other block. Not even our block. Oh, and by the way, that's the other thing about my stupid dog, who I love. But here's the other thing about my stupid dog. If she encounters a UPS truck when she's out in the wild, like on a walk, like on somebody else's block, or, when she's just out free, no problems at all. Doesn't have any issue at all with the UPS truck or the UPS man. She just walk right by the truck. If she's and that's what happened today. We were on the other block. We walked by a UPS truck. And my dog was totally cool. You know who wasn't? All the other dogs! I think this is a thing. All the other dogs on that block were going absolutely nuts in their windows because the big, dumb, brown, odd-looking UPS truck was somewhere on the block. I don't know why it triggers America's dogs, but UPS, you're in line for a class action. American dog owners, big dumb trucks keep setting our dogs off, and I don't understand it. All right, that was the big event of today. I had that breakthrough. I think there's some money in that, so help us out. You know what there's not money in? Doing a live stream every day. You know how I know that? Because I've been doing this live stream every day. And it runs on your tips and gratuities. And although that you, the proud, the faithful, you people tip wonderfully, the lack of expansion on this show has severely limited my lifestyle. And I'm getting tired of it, but what are you going to do? For the love of the game, as they say. Yeah, I guess I have proven that I will do this for the love of the game. So if you want to help out the show, it does run on your tips. I looked at the calendar and I'm like, we are so screwed this month because of where 4th of July is and how everybody checks out. But whatever. Okay. Cross that bridge when we get there, I suppose. Every day, though, the big tipper of the day, on this show. That person is rewarded with the title of executive producer. It comes with no actual duties other than, you're kind of the boss for the day. So you know what? For the third day in a row, we're going to give it to Peter, because Peter gave a significant tip 3 days ago, and we have not received anything from anybody else since. So Peter, thank you so much. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. We got to figure this out. Okay, we're going to catch this on camera. This is that infernal butt licking that she has been doing. You want to knock it off? And it's not her, it's her tail. She is licking. All right, you weirdo. God, back on me. Back on Beauty. Let's go, camera. Back on Beauty. All right. That's it. I've been complaining about that for a week. That's what she's doing. And she does it all. It's not all that. It's not constant. And she's doing it again. Maybe it is constant. It's not constant, but it's gross. And the sound is gross. And she goes into these butt licking jags. And yeah, okay. It's not actually her butt. It's where her spine meets her tail. It's like right in that area. I get in there with a back scratcher and I help her out. And she loves it. And then I stop and then she goes right back to licking it. So I don't know. And we were concerned that it was her anal glands and all of that, but that checked out okay. She's fine. It's just something she does. She just licks her tail. She likes the taste of it. Smee says, is she on any medication? Some meds will cause skin irritation. No, man. She's like super healthy. She's got a hip thing that she's had since a baby that we've been keeping an eye on, and she used to be on medications for that, and she has to get checked for that every now and again. That's why we just got her checked. But that's not like a debilitating hip thing. We haven't seen any sign of it in 2 years. So she's good. She's good with it, but we're monitoring it. That could be a thing. They're like, well, when she's older, it'll flare back up, but she's okay. Hi. April is just saying hi in the chat room. Thank you to Peter. Appreciate you, Peter. You've been a long and tireless supporter of this little enterprise, this little attempt to do talk radio the way I think talk radio should be sounded by an illiterate, without everything being partisan politically. I hate everybody in politics. I think they're all, I don't trust any of them, but that's why I'm unemployable, because I refuse Hey, look, you show me a Mr. Smith. Give me a Jimmy Stewart on his way to Washington in 1950. I don't know. What was that movie made? Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Is that like 1939 or is it like 1961? It could be either. I don't know. But give me one of those guys and I'll get behind them. Just haven't seen one of them guys in quite some time. Certainly didn't see it last night. Oh, yeah. We'll break down the debate. We're going to get into that for sure. Well, let's get started with what the show is. A daily rundown of everything that you need to know about today. It's performed in a stream of consciousness style by yours truly, Pugs Moran. We do it in 4 quarters. First quarter, antecedently on this day. That's what it's called. It's this day in history. Second quarter, birthdays. You know what that is. We can move on. Third quarter, we do a thing called the Deads. This is where we look at people who died on this day. Celebrities, notable quotables, whatever they might be. We open up their life's resume. We take a look. Like, what was this dude into? Where do you think he went? Heaven or hell? Heaven or hell? That's what quarter 3 is all about. Then we get into quarter 4. Quarter 4 is the bulk of the show. It's all the hot topics. It's the debate breakdown. It's all the other things. Look, hey man, I'll give you this tease. That debate last night was not the most embarrassing thing that happened to America yesterday. It wasn't. I didn't know. It's probably number 2. I'll give you that. Probably number 2. It's number 2. The debate was number 2 most embarrassing thing that could have happened in America last night, unless Tony Blinken found an open mic gig somewhere in Eastern Europe. If that happened, that's number 2. We've got a Secretary of State. We got this guy Anthony Blinken, travels the world like a troubadour. He's always got his axe, man. He's always ready to jam. Ugh. See what I mean? Who are these people? Let's get started. Hi, everybody. I'm Pugs Moran. It is the 28th day of June, June 28th already. Oh, my goodness. That means it's the 180th day of the year. There are 186 more of these until New Year's Eve. So let's get them New Year's Eve plans started. Let's go to quarter one, antecedently on this day. It's this day in history. I cherry pick events from history, things that occurred on this day throughout time, in memoriam, as Tony Soprano might say. And I just riff on them. These are. I'm simply choosing these because they seem important, and maybe I can, riff because I'm streaming. I'm just thinking my next thought unfiltered. On this day, antecedently in 1838, coronation of Queen Victoria. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Victorian age. On this day in 1838, Queen Victoria was really, really important. I can't name one thing. I don't know what she's known for. Is Victorian, like stories about poor people, right? That's like isn't that like Dickens? Wasn't that Dickens' time, the Victorian age, I think? Anyway, moving on. Antecedently on this day in the year 1870, these United States Congress established the first federal holidays. All right, you want to know what the first holidays were? All right, check it out. So this is the first time Congress got together. They're like, somebody raised their hand. He's like, you, the dude from, where would it be? Probably, let's go with Virginia. You, the right gentleman from Virginia. And he raised his hand and he goes, we should have some paid days off. And they said, okay, this new government, what are our paid days off going to be? What are the most important days that this new nation can establish right from the ground floor, right from the ground? These we hold in sacred something. All right, here they go. Here's the first couple of holidays. You probably know the big ones, right? New Year's Day. New Year's Day. The nothing on this day in 1870. New Year's Day, the nothing till 4th of July. We love our 4th of July, man. I'm glad that got to be one of the first. How is that? They should have started with the 4th of July and then worked their way around. We don't care. We're Americans. 4th of July. All right, so you got New Year's Day and you got 4th of July. Then also Thanksgiving, of course, and Christmas. That's it. I don't see any Easter. I don't see any St. Patty's Day. I don't see, what else is there? I don't see any Labor Day. I don't see any Memorial Day. That's it. Big four. The big four. New Year's Day, 4th of July, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. Established on this day in 1870. All right, here's something we're gonna dissect a little bit because this is some crazy balls stories from history. This is where the show is going to sort of devolve into a little bit of drunk history. I don't know if you like that show, Drunk History, but this is where I take a significant event in mankind's history. And I just, I say it happened on this day. And then just like from my stupid memory over the years, I piece together everything I know and I share it with you. And half of it is probably wrong. Another like 30% of the truthful half is probably barely truthful. And just like, there's like a grain there, but it's misguided. Anyway, let's go for this ride, shall we? On this day in 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria and his wife Sophia are assassinated in Sarajevo, Yugoslavia. This is the casus belli. For my Latin brothers and sisters out there, this is the casus belli for World War I. Casus belli is Latin for intentional event that leads to a larger scale war. It's fancy. Wikipedia trying to act like they're smarter than the rest of us. All right, so here's what I know about this. All right, so here's the deal. So this dude, Archduke Ferdinand, not the band Franz Ferdinand, they were good. They had a couple of songs, but let's get back to this guy. This guy, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, and his wife Sophie, they were next in line he was the heir to the Austro-Hungarian Empire, which back in 1914 was still kind of a baller on the world stage. They were still kind of big and important. They were they fought Napoleon. I mean, they've been around for a while. They're still big. And part of what they owned is this area here, Sarajevo. That was part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. But as we know, we call it, I think, is it Yugoslavia? I don't know. Is that what it is now? Bosnia-Herzegovina. I think maybe that's what we call it now. But that's where this area is, okay? Now, it was under Austro-Hungarian control. And here comes the visiting heir apparent. Now, look, all of these people are Serbs, okay? They're not Christian like the Austro-Hungarian and all that. They know the Pope isn't a player in their lives. They're Serbians. They're different. They're Muslims. And they don't like this guy, and they don't like that they're a part. So it's a rebellion. This is a civil war. This is like, we don't want to be a part of your empire anymore. Hey, here comes the heir apparent. We're going to take him out. Okay, so that's the plan. It's 6 dudes. 6 dudes trained up for this. Now, here comes Archduke Ferdinand. He's in a procession of a bunch of cars. They're all convertibles because Kennedy hasn't been killed yet. So, they're still all... Yeah, apparently the killing of this guy wasn't enough to have someone go, hey, elected officials, when they're making public parades, should probably be in covered vehicles. This happened with this guy, and they went, how did this happen? All right, so they had 6 assassins lined up along the parade ground where this car was going. And they passed the first guy, and the first guy chickens out. Okay, so 1 assassin down. We got 5 to go. They pass the car, passes the second guy, and the second guy chickens out. Oh my God, everybody's gonna chicken out. Car passes the third guy. This dude, he doesn't chicken out. He's the guy that threw the bomb. He had a bomb. They all had bombs, but he's the only one who threw it. But apparently he had a puss arm. He threw like a girl. And it bounced off the hood of the car and went into the crowd and exploded and killed a whole bunch of innocent people. All right. So a bomb was thrown at the car on the parade route. So in normal times, like now, what would happen? That dude would be covered, whisked, taken to wherever he needs to be taken to, and extricated from the entire country. Brought back to where... That's what would happen. No, not in 1914. Dude threw a bomb at his car. It bounced off the hood. He survived. Everybody else dies. What'd the car do? Just drove around and continued on the parade route to a luncheon. There was a luncheon, apparently. So the car just went, oh, that's very unfortunate for those people, and drove around it and just went to lunch. And then all he did was make jokes about this. They're trying to kill me at the luncheon. So after the lunch, what they did was they had a change of plans. They were going to just continue on with the Archduke's visit. He was going to, go to a bunch of like military installations and inspect the troops and, do all that shit. But because of the bombing, Archduke Ferdinand, at the behest of Sophie, his wife, was convinced to go to the hospital where all of the victims of the bombing were. So he's like, all right, fine, if we must. And she's like, it will look good. So they went to the hospital instead of on with their regularly scheduled routes. On the way to that, now the remaining assassins, remember, there's no cell phones or anything, so they don't even know this is going on. But there's one dude remaining who didn't get to fire his shot. He didn't get to do anything. He's basically gotten away with this thing. He stops outside this restaurant or something. I think he stops to get something to eat. And as the Duke's car just happenstance, because it changed its route, it's going to the hospital, and it passes right in front of this dude, an assassin, who by happenstance didn't get to use his weapon or his gun or anything like that because the bombing was a failure and everybody went home. He went home and got something to eat. And then, because he lived near a hospital, the Archduke comes rolling up right next to him. And the Archduke's driver at some point, not only did they roll up right next to the assassin, but they had made a wrong turn. That's why they had rolled up next to him. So as they did roll up right beside the assassin standing on the curb, the driver said, we make a U-turn. So the assassin has plenty of time now because the car's going to U-turn and come back at him again. And the assassin's like, wait, what is going on here? He's alive? I thought the bombing had killed him. He's still alive. Well, I'm still alive and I didn't get to do my thing. So then as the car was attempting to turn around, guess what happened? It stalled. I say, sir, get this car turned around at once. It was that kind of thing. And at that point, the assassin jumped in and went, boom, boom, and knocked him down. Boom, gone. Killed him right there. And of course, that started a whole World War II kind of thing. On this day, there you go. That wasn't bad drunk history. World War I, not World War II. Anyway, that would make a good movie. I think there have probably been movies made about the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand, but there was so much bumbling and then so much like good fortune Like, you got to believe that if you're one of these people that's like, well, God was with us on this day. Well, God was with the Serbs on that day because he redirected the route right in front of a dejected would-be assassin who thought his opportunity to go down in history as the guy who killed it had been passed by. He probably got a sandwich and was going to go home and watch TV. Nah, he couldn't watch TV. What was he going to do? Read a book? Go home and sadly eat a sandwich and read a book? That's what he was thinking. And then here comes Archduke Ferdinand. On this day in 1914, on this day in 1919, the Treaty of Versailles is signed, which ended the war. Look at that. Same day. So the war that started on this day with the crazy assassination of Archduke Ferdinand also ended on this day with the Treaty of Versailles. That's the treaty where we really... That's the war right there. What we forced Germany into, after they were bad in World War I. What we forced Germany into after World War I is why they came back roaring. I mean, I don't know. If we'd have been cooler... We'd have been cooler. We'd have never had the Nazis. That's what I say on this day in 1919. On this day in 1926, Mercedes-Benz is formed by Gottlieb Daimler and Carl Benz, merging their two automobile companies. Gottlieb Daimler, the Daimler family, they kind of took a back seat for a lot of my life. Like, I never heard of Daimler, and then all of a sudden Daimler reemerges when they buy Chrysler, and now it's Daimler Chrysler. And now I hear that Daimler is like the main thing behind Mercedes. And I'm like, well, then why did the Mercedes name become I don't know. Just how it is. They didn't understand branding, I guess, in 1926. On this day in 1987, for the first time in military history, a civilian population is targeted for chemical attack when Iraqi warplanes bomb the Iranian town of Sardasht. Why the hell would I do an applause for that? So the way this is, I mean, it's the first time that a military used chemical weapons on people, and that's horrible, I guess. But I mean, it's probably not the worst thing that a military has ever done to a civilian population. I'm pretty sure that there are some kings that sent some knights and some armies to do some pretty hardcore, atrocious things to civilian populations when they got a little finicky. So chemicals, but it ain't like, do you see it was on this day in 87 when humanity turned cruel against himself? No, he didn't. No, it was long before that. This was just tools of the time. The optimistic way to look at it is that we recognized this in 1987 and that he paid the price for it, and that we don't really encourage the use of chemical weapons. In fact, it's a war crime. Now, we see that that's good, so that's what we celebrate. On this day in 1997, oh, hey, who's in the chat room? I was just thinking about this. Is Mama Beller in the chat room today? Because in a very strange... This is very rare. This is a very rare occurrence. I am going to share a memory from something that occurred on this day when I believe I was in the presence of Mama Beller. Anyway, Mama Beller hangs out in the chat room. She's my friend Tom's mom. On this day, we grew up together. On this day in 1997, Evander Holyfield versus Mike Tyson 2. Mike Tyson is disqualified in the third round for biting a piece of Evander Holyfield's ear off. Now, I watched this fight with my friend Tom, who is the son. Tom had a party. He had a fight party. And Mama Beller was there, I think. Why wouldn't she be? She was awesome. Anyway, do you remember that when he did it twice? He bit him once, and Evander was like, hey, and then the ref looked at Tyson, and Tyson was like, I ain't do nothing, and then the ref was like, okay, whatever, that was weird, and he puts them back together again, and Tyson does it again, and this time he takes a chunk of the ear off. That referee missed it. That referee could have saved that chunk of Evander Holyfield's ear. That was crazy. I mean, I know we see crazy things with YouTube and all that stuff. We were in no way prepared as a people to see that on TV, To see on a live television event, a sports event, someone bite someone's ear off right there. And then because it's probably HBO pay-per-view or something like that, they didn't know how to handle it. So they probably showed it slow-mo and in detail over and over for all its gory glory. Gory glory, whatever. For all the glory of the gore. Ugh, that was awful. Yeah, he lost his nut, Mike Tyson. He lost his nut. He went a little bonkers. Hey, man, look, water under the bridge. They seem okay about it now. I mean, him and Holyfield. I could probably forget it's in a year. You shoot me or something. I don't know. I forget. We get into a fight. You bite my ear. I don't know. I think after all these years, I can be like, yeah, I get it. You're weird. Let's do some birthdays. All right. That's going to be it. That's it for see me on this day. It's time now for our birthday segment, where we take a look at people who claim to be celebrating birthdays on this day. Don't know if they really are. I'm not going to call their moms and say, is this really the day? But born on this day in 1926, an American comedy icon, somebody that, oh my God, everybody's genius. He's great. I love his movies. Oh, that stuff. He is, really is. He's undeniably, he is undeniable. That's what we'll say. His name is Mel Brooks, ladies and gentlemen. Happy birthday to Mel Brooks. A little overrated. Seems like a wonderful man. I love him. Interviews with him. He seems cool as hell. It's like 100 million years old. He's like, I'm writing another series. That's awesome. Like I said, I like him. I just don't think, trying to think of what Spaceballs. Okay, so here's what I would say about Spaceballs. Spaceballs is great. Oh, it's very funny. Spaceballs doesn't make a top 10 funniest movies of the 80s list of mine. Not even close. So, and that may be just subjective, because that Spaceballs and Mel Brooks is a very specific style of comedy. Now, when I say Spaceballs probably wouldn't make a top 10 funniest movies list of the 80s for me, that's because that list would be occupied by different stuff. John Landis films, for one thing. That list would have stuff like, Animal House and Caddyshack, or I guess Animal House was 70s. But it certainly would have Caddyshack and Stripes and Rodney Dangerfield's Back to School. Even Tom Hanks's Bachelor Party. It would have the Police Academy would make it. Naked Gun. Are you kidding me? So, I mean, I think Mel Brooks, a little overrated. Born on this day in 1926. Born on this day in 1932. Here's some bitch that ain't overrated at all. I love this man. Ladies and gentlemen, born on this day in 1932. Pat Morita. I don't care who you want him to be. You want him to be Arnold from Happy Days? I'm good with that. Loved Arnold. You want to be Mr. Miyagi from The Karate Kid? Okay. He'll take those checks all day long. So glad he got paid. You know why I'm glad he got paid? And he got paid very well for those, especially after the first one, the Karate Kid things. Pat Morita, for like 30 years before that, was like one of 2 or 3 Asian actors who were allowed to be in things. And when I say allowed, of course, I don't mean by law or official mandate. I mean, there weren't a lot of like working Asian actors, but there was Pat Morita, and he was in everything. Everything. Any television show between like 1960 and 1995 that needed an Asian character for something. Guess who got it? Pat Morita. Hey, it's Pat Morita. And I don't know, like by today's lens, you're like, oh, the indignities he must have suffered. I don't know about that. I think he was happy for the work. I think in a grander, more existential conversation, he might talk about, maybe there could have been a larger pool of Asian American actors to choose from. But I don't know. Were there that many Asian American actors? I mean, I don't know. Was this a situation where like Asian American actors in 1965 were being greeted at the gates of Hollywood studios and being told, no, we've already got 3? I don't know. Or were they just not coming? Who knows? But, I've heard people talk about Pat Morita as he played into Asian stereotypes to his own benefit for decades. Yeah, he did. Of course he did. I don't know if you guys remember, we used to do an event here in town when it was the old Pugs and Kelly show. We did an event with dodgeball. It was very popular. But what I wanted to do, I always wanted to create an official Pugs and Kelly team. And I wanted this official Pugs and Kelly dodgeball team to be comprised of dwarfs. I just thought they had an advantage in dodgeball. That, harder to hit, very athletic. I've seen someone be very athletic. So that was the plan. I wanted to use dwarves. And we were told we couldn't. We couldn't employ dwarves. We couldn't give them jobs because that would be exploiting them. And I remember thinking at the time, really? Because I bet a whole bunch of them would like to make $50. Put $50 in their pocket just for coming out and playing on a team. Because that's what I think we had the budget for. And I remember we talked about this on the air, and I remember a couple of them, a little group of people who wanted to be a part of that team. Some of them, many of them dwarves. I don't know, whatever. They're just people, man. They're just people who have this thing. They came out, and I remember drinking with them and talking to them and saying, yeah, I go, you guys are absolutely welcome to come out and play because you just can't be an official team. They don't want the station to be, exploiting. And that's what I said. And he looked at me and he said, really? He goes, because I'm just happy for the work. And I thought, wow. I go, see, that's that liberal conservative divide sometimes that I talk about. It's an example of the liberals fighting for the world that they want to live in. And, then that going headfirst against the more conservative view of the world that actually is the real world. In the real world, this dude could have used $50. But because of the influence of certain things within the corporate structure of CBS at the time, we weren't allowed to give him that $50 because that would be bad. That would look like we're exploiting little people. I'm like, oh, well, or you could say that would look like we're employing little people. You choose the verbiage. Anyway, that's how screwed up the world is. That has a lot to do with why, I am where I am ideologically. Notice I don't say politically, because politically is partisan, and I'm not into that. All right. Anyway, Pat Morita. I love that guy. Love him. Here's someone else I love, born on this day in 1946. Gilda Radner, one of the original Not Ready for Primetime players on Saturday Night Live. She was Roseanne Dana. She was Lisa Lubner. She was, who else was she? Anyway, she was fantastic. She was probably, for a lot of people in America, or at least of that generation. Now, you know what? I was going to say the first truly funny breakout female, but Lily Tomlin had already taken comedy by storm, and Lucille Ball was already a comedy. So it wasn't like that. But Gilda Radner truly was, I think, one of the most gifted female comedic actresses that the world has ever known. And unfortunately, she died. She died tragically of cancer. Her legacy is, of course, still proudly splattered across America with her Gilda's clubs, which helps females with cancer everywhere. Anyway, she was awesome, and she was also married to Gene Wilder, who, by the way, you remember I just said I think Mel Brooks is a little overrated. I know that Gene Wilder is very closely associated with Gene Wilder, but Gene Wilder did other things. Gene Wilder did Wonka. Gene Wilder was in Silver Streak. Gene Wilder did a bunch of awesome stuff with Richard Pryor that would make my top 10 list of 80s funniest movies before Spaceballs. Anyway, Gilda Radner, Gene Wilder, they were a cute couple. By the way, you know what's bugging me about Gene Wilder? This is where the stream of consciousness gets dangerously close to going off into the weeds. You know what bothers me about Gene Wilder? Absolutely nothing, first of all. But here's something. There is this clickbait that is circling. And it shows a split picture. It's a picture of Gene Wilder, and then it's a picture of Carmy from The Bear, Jeremy Allen White. And the clickbait headline says, his grandfather would be so proud. And it's a picture again of Gene Wilder when Gene Wilder was young, and a picture of Jeremy Allen White. And these two actors look staggeringly similar. They really do. Like, if they were going to make a Gene Wilder biopic, Jeremy Allen White would be the guy, but he got to wait until after Jeremy Allen White finishes the Springsteen biopic, which they're saying he's going to get an Oscar for. But that clickbait ad bugs me. And I know I shouldn't hold it against Gene Wilder, and that's why I have absolutely nothing against him. I don't hold it against him. But it does just, I guess, speaking of Gene Wilder, that clickbait ad bugs me because they're not related, not even at all. And they don't actually look alike. You just found one picture of Gene Wilder and one picture, and you found two pictures of them that really look alike. They really do. But not in any other picture that you've ever seen of those two guys. Anyway, happy birthday, Gilda Radner. Your widower is being pimped out online 30 years after your death. I just think you should know that. Born on this day in 1960, John Elway. John Elway, old horse face. So there was like a time in the 90s, I guess, or maybe even earlier than that, when John Elway was the toast of... I mean, I know he was in Denver, but where did John Elway start? He wasn't always in Denver, was he? Anyway, John Elway was like, "You're not going to draft me, I'm going to go." Anyway, he was a bitch about it. There was a time in the 90s when apparently John Elway was dating Sarah Jessica Parker. Oh my God. Anybody into horse porn? Oh my God. John Elway with like this horse face John Elway was dating for a period of time a woman who is very attractive, yet still undeniably equine in some of her features. Imagine the kids they would have. Oh my God. Happy birthday, John Elway. When their kids smiled, they'd look like the Greek Parthenon. Just big giant white pill. Born on this day in 1965, Jessica Hecht. Why do I mention her? I don't know, because I've kind of had a crush on her for a long time. Jessica Hecht is one of those that girl actors. You know, we know these that guy actors. Jessica Hecht played, remember in Breaking Bad? I think this is her most high-profile role. She does a whole lot of stuff, though. Her most high-profile role, I think, was in Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad, said the guy from Chicago. Breaking Bad. Her most high-profile role was in Breaking Bad, where she played the college friend of Walter White, whom he had a crush on, whom she married the third guy, and they stole Walter White's business, and she went on to become married. That's her. That's Jessica Hecht. I like her. She has really good positive energy. She's always smiley, and she always makes you feel comfortable. She's a good actress. I like every role she's ever been in, even though she's totally forgettable. Born on this day in 1965, that girl, actress, Jessica Hecht. Born on this day in 1966, John Cusack. Oh, the complicated relationship that I have with John Cusack needs to be explained. Love him. Love him in movies. Hate him as an ambassador of Chicago. He's up there with Kanye West. People who Chicagoans would just prefer would shut the fuck up. John Cusack blocked me on Twitter, which is, again, sad because, you know, I'm a fan of his movies, as we'll see in a moment. He blocked me on Twitter because I think I told him, I said, you know, you should talk less politics. I think that's all I said. Because he's crazy. He's one of the Hollywood crazy left guys who was like, you know, all about Bernie Sanders for all the wrong reasons. And anyway, I don't know. I wasn't being provocative. I like John Cusack. And then, I mean, although I was troubled by a lot of his tweets, it's very confrontational on Twitter. He might not even be there. But then, you know, he blocked me after I said, maybe no politics, John. Maybe not do politics. I hope he didn't interpret that as shut up and act, because that's not what I meant. And I don't know what I meant. I guess I did mean I don't like your politics. And so whatever, but he blocked me and that got me mad. However, not so mad that we can't do a John Cusack draft. That's right. We're going to do a film draft of all the John Cusack films. It's a 5-round draft. It's just like the NFL draft. The very first pick off the board is what I deem to be the can't-miss film. That you got to see one of these. The can't miss one for me. So that's what this is. John Cusack. He hates me, and he's kind of a D-bag anyway, but I still, as I always say, folks, what do we say? Separate the art from the artist. Number 1 off the board in my John Cusack film draft. We're going to go with the first pick, The Sure Thing. Yeah. I love The Sure Thing. Now, Sure Thing, what did that come out? 1986, 1987, whatever. I was in high school. Sure Thing is a story of a guy who leaves college over winter break to take a cross-country road trip to UCLA. His buddy, he went to some stodgy East Coast school. I don't know. It might even been Northwestern. I don't know. But he was at some stodgy, elite academy school, college. And then his best friend went to UCLA, and he's partying and all that. So over winter break, he decides he gets a ride share with somebody else. He finds on the bulletin board in the cafeteria at the college. They're going to split a ride out to California, where John Cusack's character is promised a sure thing. A sure thing. And it's not just a blind sure thing. No, the sure thing comes with a picture. And that picture is, of course, if you guys remember from the 1980s, Nicolette Sheridan in a white bikini. Yeah! So, of course, like any red-blooded American 19-year-old, John Cusack's character just jumps in that car and goes, let's go. I don't care. Just get me to Hollywood. It's a road pick. It's funny. It's coming of age. It's extremely Gen X. Say it. Sure Thing. Sorry. Sure Thing is number 1. Well, there you go. Say Anything is number 2. Say Anything, also very Gen X. John Cusack has a very Gen X sort of appeal to him. Say Anything, of course, isn't he the character of Lloyd Dobler? He wants to be a kickboxer, but he's not entirely sure that there's a career path in that professionally. But he knows one thing: he wants to marry Ione Skye. Is it Ione Skye? I think it might be Ione Skye. Anyway, Say Anything, fantastic. A lot of great. Look, the dude standing outside the window, in the trench coat, holding the boombox, playing Peter Gabriel's "In Your Eyes, the Light, the Heat, Your Eyes, I Am Complete." Come on! That's like, it's like romantic film 101 bullshit right there. So number 2 off the board is Say Anything. Let's see here. Oh, number 3. Number 3, near and dear to my heart. One of the finest baseball films ever made, in a story that I just love. One of the films I made my son watch. I got to make him watch it again. I made him watch him way too young. I made him watch him when he was like 8. It was part of the brainwashing. I brainwashed my son into liking certain sports teams that I also like. And so my process is I just make them historians in that team before they know anything. And then suddenly they're 13 and they're like, yeah, I guess I kind of like that team. I seem to know a lot about them. That's how I do it. So the brainwashing began with my son when I introduced him to John Sayles' amazing film, 8 Men Out, about the 1919 World Series, the Black Sox. Now, any White Sox fan of any measure anyway, in my opinion, has a very strong opinion about that whole thing, which I will not share with you. We're talking, of course, about the World Series, where a team of White Sox players who were heavily favored against the Cincinnati club basically laid down and let Cincinnati win so that the gamblers could make a lot of money and then ostensibly cut the players in. In 8 Men Out, our 3rd film off the board in the John Cusack film draft, John Cusack plays Buck Weaver. Buck Weaver and Joe Jackson are 2 of the players on that team that we, White Sox Nation, we will die on the hill of Major League Baseball, do the right thing, and that is reinstate those guys, because Buck Weaver certainly did not throw anything. Buck Weaver in that World Series hit .324 with 12 hits. Buck Weaver was out there playing, man, and John Cusack played him so wonderfully in 8 Men Out, our number 3 in the John Cusack draft. Number 4. All right. So I made my kid watch. One of the ways that I was able to get my kid to watch 8 Men Out was by selling him on the idea that it was John Cusack. Why? Because my son and I, he's like 6. I think we started watching this at 6, which I know you're probably like, you let a 6-year-old watch that? And I'm like, Why? Because there's some boobs. Look, yes, there's some boobs, but he was breastfed. It's boobs. I'm not one of those people. I'm sorry. I think it's fine. My son wants. There's naked people out there. You can see them. It's pretty easy. Besides, he is so much more computer literate than me. He can see him. He knows where to go if he needs to see naked girls, is my point. So anyway, we watched Hot Tub Time Machine. Why? Just because it's such a great example of an ensemble comedy where every character is well developed individually and performed magnificently. Hot Tub Time Machine is number 4 on our list. Hot Tub Time Machine, the story of 4 dudes who are going through some shit in their middle age, and they decide to go back to a ski resort that they used to frequent when they were party boys in the 80s to try and relive some old times. They get back to the ski resort, and of course, it's a piece of garbage now. It has been in disrepair for probably decades. They take their old room and they jump in the hot tub, and they are somehow magically transported back to the 1980s. Hot Tub Time Machine, number 4 in the John Cusack draft. Number 5, this will be the last one. We only do a 5-round draft. Number 5, there were a lot of choices here, man. He really does have a pretty cool filmography. You can see why he's one of my favorite actors. Number 5, we're going to go with High Fidelity. Again, a personal choice. He said it in a neighborhood that I briefly lived. I was very familiar with. That scene I was very familiar with that is documented in that. He's basically running Wax Trax, which was a really cool record store in Chicago, a legendary record store. That's essentially the store he's running, and it's where it was shot. Of course, it was the film where we were introduced to the fact that Jack Black can sing. Remember that M. Night Shyamalan ding-dong moment at the end of High Fidelity where Jack Black gets up and starts to sing after being the irritating clerk at the record store the entire movie? Now suddenly it's like, oh God, he's going to get up there and he's going to suck. And he gets up there and he bangs. That was pretty awesome. Number 5, High Fidelity. All right, that's going to conclude our John Cusack film draft on his birthday, born on this day in 1966. Let's recap. Number 1 off the board, Sure Thing. Number 2, Say Anything. Number 3, 8 Men Out. Number 4, Hot Tub Time Machine. Number 5, High Fidelity. There you go. Oh, but we got some undrafted free agents that we're going to be handing out some camp invites. We're going to take a look at them because although they weren't drafted in the first 5, they are quality films. How about Gross Point Blank coming to camp? How about Con Air coming to camp? How about Pushing Tin? Can we just take a moment and hit the brakes? That's a little movie. I don't know how many people saw it. Stars John Cusack and I believe Angelina Jolie maybe, but it's John Cusack and Billy Bob Thornton as 2 air traffic controllers who are basically in a rage war with one another. It is so good. Pushing Tin. Also coming to camp, Love and Mercy. I talk so much about Love and Mercy. That's the Brian Wilson movie where John Cusack plays the older Brian Wilson and Paul Dano plays the younger one. That's it. And at this point, I kept looking at his filmography and I'm like, it's got to end somewhere. And there's probably a half dozen other films that could get camp invites and hell might even be debatable to be on the first 5 list. But I got to stop. That's it. I got to stop. John Cusack. I left some things off, I know. John Cusack draft is complete. Born on this day in 1967. Oh, Jesus. Did I forget what year? What is it? 67? 60. Born on this day in 1966, John Cusack. Born on this day in 71, Elon Musk. He's just weird. He's like, my take on Elon Musk. He's ruined Twitter. It just seems sketchy now. It just seems like the neighborhood has fallen into disrepair. At least my Twitter feed has. Tesla is a douchebag money train. That's all that is. It's a cash register. And good, he made a lot of money off douchebags who wanted to be early adopters of an inferior product. I mean, look at these stupid cyber schmucks that you see all broken down on the side of the road. To be honest, I ain't seen one broken down, but every time I see one, I mutter under my breath, cyber schmuck. 4 recalls now for the cyber trucks. And that's only since what? February? So, more to come. I'm sure of that. Elon Musk is celebrating a birthday today. So I don't have high regard for him as an individual, and I don't have, or for his personality, I should say. I don't have high regard for that, and I don't have high regard for the way that he's handled some of the more public offerings that he's come up with or acquired, however the case may be. What I do have an incredible amount of high regard for is SpaceX. So happy birthday, sir. A little less cyber schmuck and a little bit more Mars stuff. There you go. Because, and honestly, you know, of all of the things that I want to be angry at Elon Musk about, I always go back to the fact that, yeah, but he very well may be the driving force of what will be and what currently is. We just don't recognize the most significant contribution to human exploration ever. So, you know, I'm conflicted, but whatever. Twitter Elon Musk sucks. Tesla Elon Musk sucks. SpaceX Elon Musk deserves our respect, I think. Okay, that's me. That's me. You be you. You can do whatever you want. Born on this day in 1986. How about Kelly Pickler? Oh, do you guys remember Kelly Pickler? Or am I just weird? Maybe I'm weird. Kelly Pickler was somebody who I think she was like top 3 or something on American Idol in one of those rando American Idol years. But no, not one of the rando American Idol years. She got in early. She was maybe like season 4 or season 5. Before the rando year started. Like there was like 10 years of rando years where nobody cared anymore. But I think she was still there at a point when people kind of cared about American Idol. Kelly Pickler was adorable. She was just, I fell for Kelly Pickler right away. I immediately saw her and her little North Carolina girl. She's just beautiful, but also she seems cool, right? That struck a home run with boys and men all across America. She seemed cool, and oh my God, was she pretty. Kelly Pickler, born on this day. There's a lot of Kelly Pickler in Hawk Tuah girl. A lot of Kelly Pickler in her. And what I mean is, they don't look anything alike. Oh, shut up. I'm not just talking about the easy stuff. What I mean is X Factor. What I mean is there's a personality there that you are drawn to. And the way you're drawn to both personalities is very similar. The way that I saw Kelly Pickler and maybe the way she was smiling and rolling her eyes and just being natural and all that ease in the spotlight. That's what drew me to her. That's something, I find attractive, okay? Same thing with Hawk Tuah girl. That's why we like Hawk Tuah girl. And also, we know she's DTF. We know that. But that's not the real reason. That's not the secret sauce. There's a whole bunch of hose bags you could interview half drunk in Nashville if that's what you're looking for. You got that. We got that covered. We got that in spades. We got hose bags coming out of the walls. I don't think I've used hose bags in 30 years, but you know what? Let's bring hose bags back. Hose bag. That's such a great derogatory term. It's better than the C word. Can't say the C word, and we're not supposed to call women the WHORE word anymore. And that's fine. I get that. Hose bags. Let's go with hose bags. Anyway, Kelly Pickler has that X factor where she seems like she's cool. And so did the Hawk Tuah girl. Look, the thing that is most charming about the Hawk Tuah girl is how she was so undeniably authentic in that moment. She didn't take a moment. She wasn't trying to be funny. She wasn't thinking of something funny. No, she meant that. And if you look at the setup, like her friend goes, oh, you should tell her you do that. You do. And her friend knew what she was going to say because this is something Hawk Tuah girl maybe is known for among her and her little girlfriends. She's like, I like to spit on it. I like to spit on that thing. And that's what she said without even thinking about it. She was like, Hawk Tuah, spit on. I mean, that's kind of charming that she was so unguarded. Because so many people now are being phonies or they're pretending or these viral videos are in some way, shape, or form a put on where now there's 50 people arguing underneath about that was set up. That's not real. You get that. Nobody said that with this girl. That's how authentic she was. She was just like, nah, she's real, man. That was a real chick answering that question. And I think that's what we were drawn to. And that's the exact same thing we were drawn to with Kelly Pickler. That's how I see it. What do I know? All right, those are your birthdays, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move now into the deads. These are people who have died on this day. These are people who have died. Dead on this day in 1940, Italio Balbo. He's going to hell. Got a real problem with Italio Balbo. You may not even know who he is, and why should you? It's probably a good thing that greater history has completely forgotten this son of a bitch. He was a guy who, for some reason, he was like the Air Marshal Black of the Italian army. Military, Air Force, whatever. I don't even know if they called it Air Force back then. But here's who he was. Mussolini's right-hand guy. He was like Mussolini's right. He's like his guy. And for some reason, I guess Chicago had an Italian issue, and they wanted to make the Italians in Chicago happy. And so they brought this guy over, or he came over. I don't know what he was here for, but Italio Balbo came to Chicago in like the 1930s. They named a big street after him. They named the street Balbo. Still is Balbo. It's been Balbo since he got here. Balbo, unfortunately, now in 2024, is a really important street right in the middle of downtown. It's a real important street. And it is named for a guy who just a couple of years after we named it for him would go on to fly in unison with the Nazi Wehrmacht. He turned against us. He was Mussolini's guy in World War II, and here we are in Chicago, during World War II, just driving down Balbo, not thinking anything of it. He was a bad guy. He's going to hell. We still got that. There's also a statue, I think. I don't know if Ed's in the chat room. Ed knows this stuff. There's also, I think, a big statue to Balbo. Like, people are always defacing. He was a fascist. Yeah, he was. We got a street named after him, too. It'd be like if there was a street named after Heinrich Himmler in a German part of town, and nobody has ever changed it. There's a pileup on the Himmler. You're going to want to make a right there on Gehring Avenue. I don't know. Just doesn't seem right. We should not in Chicago have a major street named Balbo after this guy. He's going to hell. Dead on this day in 1975, Rod Serling. Twilight Zone. He's got to create a Twilight Zone. Writer. God, such a prolific writer. This guy, didn't he write? Isn't that his thing? He wrote like every single. Is that his thing that he did? I don't know. He's dead. I'm putting him in heaven because when I was little, Twilight Zone was really cool. When you did not have much to choose. Here's a nice little test because I did this with, again, my 15-year-old son, and I did this with him actually a couple of months back. It's fresh in our memory. I was doing this thing with my kid where I would make him watch single episodes of shows that are just way before his time. I'm like, I'll give you an example. We watched an episode of Cheers. He liked it. Thus timeless. Watched an episode of All in the Family. He liked it. Timeless. Watched an episode of Laugh-In. We did not. We were like, that didn't hold up. That was this is stupid, Dad. I go, yeah, this is stupid. That's not even funny. Also made him watch an episode of the Twilight Zone. Twilight Zone stands up. It really does. I know we didn't have much of a choice back then, but among a very limited things to choose from when Twilight Zone was on reruns every night, it still holds up. That is good, and that's because of Rod Serling. And Rod Serling is going to heaven. What a writer he was. Dead on this day in 1981, Terry Fox. Terry Fox, putting him in heaven. There's like that. Here's the unfortunate thing about Terry Fox. Terry Fox was a runner. Apparently he died. There have been a whole bunch of documentaries, sports documentaries about him. And Terry Fox in my life has the distinction of being the guy who they make documentaries about, who I stop on, read the narration, like what it's basically about, and then go, yeah, nah, and I move on. And because of that, I feel bad because he's obviously got a story there, just one that I don't seem to be interested in. He's got a story there, so we'll put him in heaven. I don't think they make that many documentaries about dudes who were like cross-country runners if they were D-bags. So I imagine he's a good dude. That's just me. Here's someone I don't have to imagine was a good dude because I know without a doubt that this guy was a scumbag. Dead on this day in 2009 and certainly in hell if they're American TV personality Billy Mays. Billy Mays. Hey. You remember Billy Mays? Remember Billy Mays on Late Night? He was always coked out of his mind and telling us some bullshit. Billy Mays was such a con man. If you couldn't see that, you got to see, right? I mean, that's why we all, well, at least I thought, see, this is the problem with me. I thought we all sat around late at night half drunk because Billy Mays was on TV when, my generation, we were in our 20s and we were still going to bars. But he'd be on late at night. You'd come back with your food and you'd sit down around the picnic, or the picnic table, the coffee table, and you start eating whatever it is that you picked up, and you put on TV, and maybe you watch some crazy religious lady, maybe you watch, but probably you're going to see Billy Mays and Miracle Blue, Oxy, or whatever. He was so sketchy, man. If you guys cannot interpret a hard sell is used when there is absolutely nothing to back up the actual quality of the product. That's when you utilize a hard sell. Like, a good product sells itself. So if you've got Billy Mays out there hawking your garbage, I'm thinking it's just expensive Windex. That's what I'm thinking. There was one of these products. They were selling something. It's probably the late 90s, because I remember they got in trouble with the Federal Trade Commission. They were hawking the fact that you can buy any product that you want, and I'm probably sure that you've used them all at this point. But folks, have I got a deal for you? This is the all-new Larimore Magic Clean, utilizing hydroxyfluor. Hydroxyfluor gets down deeper into the dirt. Well, they were promoting an ingredient that's in everything. It's in every clean. It doesn't even do anything with the cleaning. Were they lying? No. Were they promoting something that they were banking the audience had no fucking clue what it is? So if they could suggest it was something that it actually wasn't, that everybody wins? Yes. I think that was a Billy Mays thing. Anyway, Billy Mays did a bunch of coke, went to sleep, didn't wake up. He's now in heaven. Or hell. Billy Mays. Those Australian guys. Those con men. You know who was good, though? Was Ron Popeil, the original dog in this war. Oh my God. Ron Popeil was good. Or, and I will leave the door open for this, or when I was exposed to Ron Popeil, I was too young and hadn't developed my bullshit meter to the extent that I have now. Maybe that could be it too. I'm going to watch some Ron Popeil stuff. I'm going to watch some Ron Popeil stuff on YouTube now to see if he really is different. Those Australian guys, man. First of all, that is like the most... I got a lot of friends who are Australian. Not a lot. I got one very dear friend who I don't see nearly enough and haven't seen in a long time, who's Australian. But it's weird because, I think he's just up north somewhere. But anyway, point is this. The Australian accent sounds con-manny. G'day. I'm going to sell you something. Aye, how are you? You look great. I mean, they're a vocally dishonest people. That's what they sound dishonest. They do. Hey, g'day, how are ya? Right? It's like, what's behind this mock enthusiasm for whatever routine experience we're sharing? Well, what are we at? We're at Billy Mays. Billy Mays is in hell. That's where we are. Shmi says Ron was the set it and forget it guy, right? I don't know. I guess now I'm thinking about it. I don't remember. I just remember what he looked like, and I remember he looked trustworthy. I don't know. Oh, you know who absolutely wasn't trustworthy? You know who's the worst at this? And God love I got a dear friend who I care deeply for, who worked for this man. But I'm sorry. I sense these things. Do you remember that Kevin Trudeau guy? Remember that guy? Okay, so here's a great Kevin Trudeau was doing late night shows. I can think Mega Memory. There you go. I think that was his most famous one. But he also did like smell pens, and he did a whole bunch of stuff. Made a boatload of money. He was a very big part of the radio station that I was working at back in the 1990s. And by that, I mean that he was a local guy. He was a local Chicago entrepreneur. And he had a lot of money and I guess a fan of the station. So he put a lot of money into the station, and he put a lot of money into the Danny Bonaducci show. You want to really know about Kevin Trudeau, we got to get my partner Kelly on the phone, because she dealt with him probably as much as anybody back then. But Kevin was, he was always on Danny's show, and he was the guy on late night TV, and he wasn't just like he was on hawking his Mega Memory or whatever. He was hanging out like he was a part of the show, and that became a thing. And it was fine. And I'd met him a half dozen times. Now you have to remember that this is coming from the time when he was pushing Mega Memory. He's been coming to the station. He'd done our show. One day we booked him to come on our show for some reason. And I was sent to meet him at the elevators. And the elevator doors open up, and here comes Mega Memory Guy. And I put my hand out, and I go, "Hey, Kevin, how are you?" And he goes, "And you are?" And I go, "I'm Pugs. You've met me many times." Just like the Mega Memory Guy doesn't remember the intern that brought him coffee probably 5 times in a row. Yeah, there you go. It's all a scam, folks. It's all a scam. It's why I'm broke. Look, if I wasn't broke, you'd know. Look, if I was calling you. I'm not gonna say never trust a rich man. I'm not gonna say that, but you know what I'm saying? I think broke ass people who are telling you like it is without any kind of obvious self-interest. I think those are the people you trust. The working man, in other words, that's who you trust. A reasonable, decent working man. Talk to him. The irony there is I am anything but a working man because this is all I do. If you're interested in any way, shape, or form, we'll get more on that in a second, how you can help the show. Billy Mays, dead. 2010 on this day, Senator Robert Byrd died. Robert Byrd was the leader of the Democratic Party in my lifetime. Robert Byrd, the job he left to become congressman. He became congressman first. The job he left to become congressman there in the Democratic Party was Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. No, that's not true. But that is what history tells you. Byrd was in the Klan. He was the Grand Wizard. No, he wasn't. He was definitely in the Klan. Don't get that wrong. No, yeah, he was the leader of a local Klan chapter. He wasn't the Grand Wizard. I mean, that doesn't make him better or worse, but when you're trying to sell a story. Yeah, so this Dixiecrat, classic Dixiecrat, Robert Byrd, he was a Democrat at the time and stayed a Democrat. But in my lifetime, the Democratic Party, these dick-tripping fools of 2024, they had these people who are so pious about, their long and strong relationship with the Black community. And you hear all of this stuff. And you hear from the Black community louder and stronger than ever before about how, well, wait a second, you've actually kind of just fucking abandoned us. You haven't done anything you've said. But every election cycle, here you are. That's what we're seeing. We're seeing that. And a great reason for the resentment that I believe Black America has towards the Democratic Party of 2024 is because in my lifetime, they had a Klan guy leading their party. In my lifetime. Robert Byrd. Go to hell. Robert Byrd, dead on this day. 2010, Senator Byrd. Dead on this day in 2016. Dead on this day in 2016. It's a big one for me. He's going to heaven. He's going to heaven. He doesn't deserve to go to heaven. We got rules around here. Prerequisites. Politicians, they go to hell. Actresses, they go to hell. Football coaches, they go to hell. Certainly pro football coaches from the 1980s, they go to hell. Here's the exception. Dead on this day in 2060, my man, the great, never forget, Buddy Ryan. Buddy Ryan and his 46 defense. Nothing defined me between the ages of 14 and 16, 14 and 17. Nothing defined me more than Buddy Ryan's 46 defense. My son asked me, because my son that's one of the teams, the Bears, of course, are one of the teams that I brainwashed my son into becoming a fan of. I'm not going to push it. My son is obviously more of a Cowboy fan than he is a Bears fan. And I'm not going to push it. I am happy at this stage of my life with, where we sit. But sometimes I want to push it. Sometimes I get a little resentful. Like if the Bears play the Cowboys, my 15-year-old son has stated, he said, "Look, Dad, I'm probably voting for the Cowboys if that happens, right? You get that?" I go, "Oh, I don't get it. I accept it." How's that? That's how I answer. But then he says, there's a caveat there. He said, "Well, if it's in season, then it depends on who needs it more. Like if one team really needs one, then I'll go according to that." And he's like, "But if it's the playoffs, I'm sorry, Dad." I go, "I'm sorry, if it's playoffs." Like, so anyway, Buddy Ryan, he asked me about Buddy Ryan. He's like, "So I'm trying to figure out what is the 46 defense? Why is it for?" Because like any normal person, you think the 46 defense is some sort of position alignment. there's 11 guys on the defense. Does that mean 4 up front, 6 in the back, 1 guy's a roamer? What does that mean? What does that 46 mean? And I had to explain to him, I go, it's not an alignment. It's a mentality. The reason that defense, considered the greatest defense in NFL history, and I think there's some argument to be made if I'm being honest about that, but they truly were a special defense. The reason they were special wasn't because of the alignment. It was because of the mentality. And that 46 was named after Chicago Bears safety, Doug Plank, who was an absolute madman. And he wore number 46. And that's why Buddy Ryan, he created that defense. He's like, this is the guy we're emulating here. And he was still on the team for a couple of years in the early parts of the 46 defense. He obviously had aged out of the league at that point and was replaced by, the Singletaries and the Wilbur Marshalls and the Richard Dents and the Dan Hamptons and the Steve McMichaels and the Fridge Perrys and, all of those guys. But anyway, that's it. 46 defense. Buddy Ryan, I love you. You mean old man. You should go to hell, but I can't bring myself to do it. All right, folks, that's going to do it. Today's executive producer of the show is Peter. Thank you, Peter. If you want to be the executive producer of Monday's show, all you got to do is be the big tipper of the day. How do you do that? Support this show. Support non-divisive, free-flowing conversation, current events-driven talk the way it should be, the way radio does not allow. You can drop something in the Cash App or the Venmo. It'll be appreciated. Thank you so much. All right, let's go. Let's get into all of the big events of the day. I need a drink because you know what we're going to get into. I have a mea culpa. No, not a mea culpa. I'm not going to apologize. An admission, or not an admission even, really. An acknowledgement. That's good. Yeah, I've got an acknowledgement to get to. I was wrong. And I was happy. I was very happy that I was wrong. What am I talking about? I've been saying since Monday that I could not see a strategic political reason for Donald Trump to actually show up. I thought it was, just a loss for him. Not a loss for him in the debate, like Biden was going to beat him. I just thought that, Trump was so well defined as a candidate that he didn't need to, and that if anything, it could look bad, like he's kowtowing to CNN after, years of evil, and he's sitting there taking questions from Jake Tapper and Dana. You know what I mean? I just thought why would he do it? He could control the media the next day simply by not showing up. Everybody's talking about it. Why didn't you show up? Suddenly, and that's what he likes. He likes to control the media. The story'd be all about him. So I thought there was no way. There's no way he's going to show up, and he did show up. I will also say that my assumption when I was saying all of these things, and this is what I need to apologize for. I was wrong. Look, I'm going to be honest with you people. I say what I see. I see something, I say it. Whether you like my interpretation or not, look, I think we can still be friends, but let's not get in the weeds on it. I just simply see it different. I know what I saw. Last night. And I had been hoping, and I had been under the impression that what the president of the United States was going to give us was going to be something a little bit similar to what we saw a few months back at the State of the Union. That guy, that's who I thought was going to show up at the debate. I also have real problems with CNN's rules. Boy, give CNN an opportunity to put on the most watched thing in American political history and just count the ways they come up with to screw it up or to somehow lessen the experience for the rest of us. The cutoff mics were stupid. The rule that they weren't allowed to engage each other was stupid. I think that the having no crowd was a good thing that CNN did. Having no crowd was a good thing, but here's what we learned. There needs to be somebody. There needs to be somebody there. So what you do is, for the next one, you allow a room of about 20 to 30 people. And maybe that 20 to 30, don't have them be supporters of anybody. Just have them be 20 to 30 people, friends, campaign, or whatever, people who are people in the business, fill it with other, I don't care. Just don't turn it into a madhouse. You can control the environment of the live audience if you're really trying to. And here's why I think that. I think that it was just so dead. And I think that the energy, just ask any stand-up comedian or guy who plays bass on the weekend in a band. The energy of the people in front of you, you play to them. You get a little bit more going. And I just think that would make it a more enjoyable experience. I was so mad last night that these guys weren't directly asking each other questions. I stopped watching. I didn't watch the whole thing. I took the dog for a walk. I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm good. I know what this is. Folks, I'll tell you what. I knew what that was within the first 3 minutes, definitively. Within the first 3 minutes, I went, uh-oh. This is going to be fun. Here we go. This is going to be some history. But also in the first 3 seconds. Well, I'm not gonna look, we've seen it everywhere. I'm not gonna play a whole bunch of videos. I'd rather just talk about it. But my God, when Joe Biden walked out, the first 3 seconds, man, he walked out and I went, oh God, he's muttering to himself. Don't mutter. Joe's muttering to himself. Holy shit. Happy 4th of July. What? Oh my God, the first 3 seconds he looked awful. And then when he got to he goes, that's it. I knew that. I knew the first 3 seconds. I was like, oh my God, this is not State of the Union, Joe. This is not Coca Joe. This is not rammed up Joe. This is fucking, middle of the night in a hotel in Prague, forgetting where the bathroom is, and you piss on the wall, Joe. That's who that was. That's who that guy was that wandered out there for the biggest moment in American political history of quite some time. At least electoral moment, campaign moment for sure. Good Lord. This guy wanders out like he's some dude who's currently under a silver alert. What? I just want to say to the American people, what, huh? I mean, I enjoyed it because I think they're all pigs. I hate them all. So, when that happened, I went, oh, okay. So this is not going to be a real debate. This is just going to be an old man being really sad and lost and another guy just screaming word salad because that's all Trump was doing. But holy shit. Did Trump kick his ass? He kicked his ass with word salad. Trump was just playing the hits. He's doing what he's doing. But here's overwhelmingly, here's the takeaway that I think I saw a thing on one network that said 72% of Americans, CNN is reporting 68% of Americans. Anyway, that's the percentage of people who say that Donald Trump won, but also I think that was more specific. I think that's the one that people thought that Donald Trump looked capable of being president. Nobody saw Joe Biden last night, the American public, I mean, and went, that's the guy I want. That's 4 years from now. This dude is 4 years from now. Joe Biden walked out there and, look, hey, the way he appeared last night, they may as well just introduce Kamala now because there is no way that guy, if reelected, there's no way that he serves 4 years. There's no way. And I think, look, I'm one of these people who tries to be fair with this stuff. I don't think Joe Biden is an evil man. I don't, look, I don't read the articles about, I don't need all that noise in my life. Seems like a decent guy. He's as crooked as any other son of a bitch politician. That's kind of how I look at him. So that's the yardstick by which I view all of these people. But he can't be president. And I'm telling you, I took a gander. I took a run around a couple of very liberal, very democratic Twitter handles. Was looking at those people last night. And they are panicking. And they should. Well, they should. They should be panicking. There ain't no way anybody's going to vote for Joe Biden after what happened last night. Are you kidding me? They got to do something. So let's move on to my other political prediction that I've been saying now for months. First went on record with this probably very early in the year. And that is, I've been saying the Democratic National Convention in Chicago will be a brokered convention. There will be a floor fight. There will be after last night. I'm telling you, man, I don't have money and I don't gamble, but God damn it. I wish all those months ago I had put $100 on. Dems are going to bring a floor fight and contest the nomination of Joe Biden at the convention. That's gonna happen. Man, after last night, how good is that bet looking, huh? I mean, we're 2 weeks away. You think all of the very smart, and I'm just say smart the way I'd say this about Republican operatives as well. Yeah, they go to good schools and shit like that. They know kinds of math that I was always like, I'd rather take woodworking class, but whatever. There are a lot of these smart people. They're panicking, and it's 2 weeks out from the, or is it 2 weeks out from the convention? I think something like that. Anyway, we're getting close to the convention. They're panicking. You're telling me that in the short time that it gets, everybody's concerns are going to be quelled. We're all going to forget what we saw from the Democrats. I mean, are you kidding me? I'll tell you one thing I noticed. That Gavin Newsom sure was hanging around, wasn't he? He was. And that could inadvertently become a problem for Trump. That could. I don't know about this guy either. What up, player? I mean, I look at this guy. That's what I think. But I don't know. He was hanging around, man. He was hanging around. He was like, nah, everything's fine. And how does that work with Kamala? I don't know. They got a mess on their hand. Woo! Must-see TV. Democratic National Convention. That's going to be crazy town. All right, so here we go. Speaking of Gavin Newsom, that's the other story that everybody seems to be talking about now, and that is what do we got to replace Biden? Of course, I would say drop the what if and let's say just replace Biden. Let's start those wheels moving. You look, it's down to this man, the man himself. He's got to stop thinking that he's the only one. Look, okay, so from you got to look at it from the standpoint of these people. Okay, these people have drank the Kool-Aid. Just like the MAGA Nation has. All y'all out here drinking Kool-Aids for your political parties. That's fine. Whatever. So from their perspective, and from Joe Biden's perspective, the goal is stop Trump. Somebody's got to stop Trump. Democracy depends on it. I mean, that's the call inside the Democratic Party. We've got to protect democracy. This man is going to open, all of these really, really scary scenarios are being put out there. And what would a second Trump term look like? Now, I don't believe any of that hysteria any more than I believe any of the we should put horse testosterone in our coffee to get rid of the pandemic. I didn't believe any of that shit either. But I don't know. That's what they're panicking about. So if from their perspective, if from Joe Biden and the people in the inner circle there and the machinery that is the Democratic Election Committee, those people stopping Trump and saving democracy, they're married. Those are the same actions. That's what this is all about. And if that is the case, then Joe Biden at this moment needs to watch a tape of last night and stop telling himself that he's the only one who can stop Trump. These people are delusional. These people are absolutely delusional. And Joe Biden, it is time for Joe Biden to come to that realization. It is time for Joe Biden to check the ego. Dude, you were president of the United States. I know that the whole driving thing was that, you'd worked your whole life, you'd ran for president, and now you end up the forgettable vice president of the nation's first black president. I get that. That's something you're carrying around with you. You don't love it, so you ran for president. You wanted to be the hero. I could take Trump. Well, you did. You won that. It's 4 years later. You're 106. Go away. That's what he's got to. Doesn't make him a bad man. It makes him a man who is 150. That's all. However, it's bad timing. Son of a bitch should have figured this out 18 months ago, but he didn't. So here we are, and we are going to have a crazy, crazy convention. Now, some of the names that have been mentioned, replacing Biden. These are the names. I mean, I joked on Twitter last night. You know how I say the Democrats are just dick trippers. Yeah, the Republicans, or more to the point right now, because there is no Republican Party, the MAGA wing, they are specialists in own goals. They like fuck up situations and score on themselves, right? That's what. The Democrats are dick trippers. So like the difference between own goals and dick trippers, the Democrats create 100% of their own problems, and they can't get out of the way of the problems that they create by their unrealistic worldview. That's why they're dick trippers. Okay. So I joked last night on Twitter. I'm like, they're just going to dick trip this opportunity to replace Biden with somebody viable and just put Hillary Clinton there again. Because, that's what they're going to come up with. You're right. We need to really have a decisive figure who can defeat the evil Trump. Again, this is their perspective. I'm projecting a little bit. What is Hillary doing? Nope. Okay, so some of the names, obviously, there's Kamala. Look. If you're a traditionalist, you'd be like, yeah, so it's obviously Kamala. But I don't know. There doesn't seem to be much. I tell you, I would have liked to have much better. Look, maybe they what they should have done. They should have pulled Joe back at the last minute. They should have known. If he's like got a cold, he's got a cold. Yeah, well, why did you start saying that like an hour into it? If he really had a cold, you would have told us that 4 hours before so that we would all be prepared. But no, you just saw that he came out there and he was like struggling to open a Vicks cough drop. And then you went, oh, he's obviously got a cold. He's got a cold. That's right. We forgot to tell you. Oh, you forgot to tell us. The White House tried to control the narrative on this thing so delicately. You forgot to tell us that the president wasn't 100%. Fuck you. You lying pieces of shit. You're all garbage. So, but it would have been cool, though, if they had said he's got a cold and, the stand-in comes out. Because I would have seen that. I'd have been interested to see how Kamala would have gone after Trump. I think there would have been a lot more fireworks. I think Kamala would have brought a different energy. I think Kamala would have brought an energy that maybe Donald Trump wasn't comfortable with or all that familiar with. And what I'm talking about there is that black girl energy, that successful boss black lady energy. I don't think Trump deals with that much. I think that Trump sees a guy like Biden, a white country club golf dude, and he's like, I fucking chew these motherfuckers up for a living. But I don't think he sees like a black woman like that. I don't think he knows where the lines are as easily. Kamala, she'd be with all the head shaking and the big word and shit. It'd be crazy. That would have been fun. Standing in for President Joe Biden tonight, but that didn't happen. And I don't think there's any realistic expectation that Kamala Harris would be much different. They got to get away from this administration. The only way that the Democrats could create any excitement is if they just go into the bag and pull out a fucking wild card. That's it. A wild card. That's the only thing. It's going to be a short run. You're going to need somebody who's going to create instant energy. And I don't know that that's out there. Gavin Newsom, he looks good in the suit. I mean, isn't he the Johnny Bravo of American politics in 2024? Boy, look at that, Johnny Bravo. There's a Gen X reference for you. Johnny Bravo, of course, the character that Greg Brady was asked to portray on the Brady Bunch. They made him a rock star, and they said, here's your name, man. Your name's going to be Johnny Bravo. And Greg thought that he was special, and that's why they were making him a rock star. But it turned out the only reason they were making him a rock star and calling him Johnny Bravo was because he fit the suit. He fit the suit. That's Gavin Newsom right now. He's Johnny Bravo. Who else are they talking about? There ain't nobody talking about Hillary Clinton. Thank God. That was a joke that I put out there on Twitter. I was going, Gretchen Whitmer. It could be trouble. That could be trouble for Trump. I don't know who she is. I mean, she's governor of Michigan, right? But I've seen her. Here's why it's trouble. It's kind of hot. Looks like Jessica Lange, Gretchen Whitmer. Looks like Jessica Lange. That's a different dynamic. I don't know how that, I don't know. How does that affect voters? Does that absolutely seal women for Trump? I don't know. Or for Biden? Or not even Biden, for her. It would be for her. Gretchen Whitmer. All right, let's see. Who else? Let's talk of Michelle Obama, which Woo-hoo! That'd be fun. But we've never seen Michelle Obama in a hostile environment. And the only time that we've seen her, with that nonsense, when they go low, we go high. How'd that work out for you? When they go low, we go high. That's that bullshit liberal attitude of being comfortable with defeat, finding the honor in falling on your sword instead of fighting for what you believe in. When they go low and absolutely devastate us, we go high. Take a Pilates class. You're out your mind. We've never seen Michelle Obama in a situation where she wasn't speaking in front of a room full of people who didn't think that she was, political Beyonce. So I don't know. I don't even know. She doesn't seem. By the way, there was a story the other day about how Michelle doesn't seem to like Biden. she's not campaigning for him, and here's why. This is interesting. Michelle Obama apparently, during her time in the White House, became friendly with Hunter Biden's then wife. Hunter Biden's then wife, now his ex-wife, he divorced her, and she testified, I guess, for the prosecution in the Hunter Biden case, and she's on the outs apparently with the Biden family because of all that. But even before that. But Michelle Obama is apparently pissed at Joe and Jill Biden because of the way they treat Hunter Biden's ex, who Michelle Obama became friendly with back in the White House days, and weirdly enough, has stayed close friends with. Yeah. Michelle Obama, one of her girls, is, the chick who testified against Hunter Biden. And she doesn't like how the Biden family has been treating her. And apparently that's the reason why she has refused to campaign for the Biden administration, even though her husband does. Isn't that interesting? All right. Who cares? They'll come up with some nonsense replicant lizard person to come in and fill the void. Who knows who it'll be? I don't know anybody. I can't think of anybody. Do you think they'll go? Will they go politician because we need to return to a time when serious people were in charge of the levers? Is that what we'll do? Or will the Dems be like, hey, it's Dave Grohl, and he's got, you can vote for Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters. What are they going to do? I say that jokingly, but we are not too far away from them just picking rock stars and going, all right, my rock star versus, it's Morgan Wallen. This election is going to be Morgan Wallen versus Harry Styles. Nah, he's not an American. Morgan Wallen versus Beyonce. There you go. That's it. That's the presidential election we all want. What else do we have here? Oh, Jon Stewart. Yeah, I haven't seen this. I thought I was going to watch it this morning, and then I was like, you know what? This is a nice length. We can watch this during the show together, and then we'll all give our normal, natural response to it. Jon Stewart had a review last night on the Daily Show. Is it because it was a special event? Because doesn't he do Mondays now? I don't know what's going on. I have no idea. Anyway, Jon Stewart, after hosting the Daily Show for a decade plus, he returned to the show for Monday commentaries, and he was there last night for the debate in a debate commentary thing. So let's see what Jon Stewart thought. Again, I haven't seen this a lot. Most of the time when I show these things, I've seen these before, but this one I thought specifically maybe I should just watch with you. Let's see if my viewpoint in 2024 and what I saw, see if it aligns with Jon Stewart, who I think is a very interesting and very complicated guy. He's another one of these dudes, man. You may very easily call him a liberal or whatever, but I don't know. He's a very complicated guy. You'd be surprised. All right, let's see.
Watching tonight's debate. Both of these men should be using performance-enhancing drugs. I'm sorry. Both. As much of it as they can get, as many times a day as their bodies will allow. If Performance-enhancing drugs will improve their lucidity, their ability to solve problems, and in one of the candidates' cases, improve their truthfulness, morality, and malignant narcissism. Then suppository away. Guess what, everybody? They should be taking whatever magical drugs can kick their brains into gear, because this ain't Olympic swimming. You know what I'm saying? Oh, he solved the Middle East, but he was doping, so it doesn't count. There's going to be an asterisk next to his presidency. And by the way, if those drugs don't exist, if there aren't actually performance-enhancing drugs for these candidates, I could sure use some recreational ones right now, because this cannot be real life. It just can't. We're America. God.
I think that's pretty on point with the way most Americans felt. No, that's not true. Trump has a very strong and strident group of supporters who probably don't feel that way at all. But I think certainly all the Dems, poor Dems, they were probably losing their shit last night. Sleepless nights. I slept like a baby. I was exhausted from laughing all evening. It's certainly the middle, though, too. I mean, the middle, that centrist kind of area that is oh so important, going to be oh so important in the next election. I think that middle, we were pretty much on point with Jon Stewart there. This cannot be happening. And it can't be happening because we said it in 2016, we said it in 2020, and now here it is, 2024. We're saying it again. This is the best we can come up with. The process is broken, okay? The process of how we choose, it's broken. If this is now the best, for years, I guess we were oblivious to it. We just blindly allowed them to utilize the old next man up rule, which both the Republicans and the Democrats did, which was just simply, it's your time, son. You get to run now. Remember that? Remember that bullshit? And it was just, well, what do you mean I can't be president? It was my turn. I mean, it was very much that attitude. Then all of a sudden, some governors started sneaking in. Clinton upset that. George W. upset that, Obama. But, for the most part, that was the way it went. Now it's just nuts. Now it's just anybody can run. Biden, the whole reason we have Biden is because of that fucking next man up thing. The whole reason we ran Hillary in 2016 was because of the whole next person up thing. God. Stupid ass Dems. The Republicans have been electing Arnold Schwarzenegger and WWF wrestlers for decades. And Democrats are still like, Hillary's turn. No wonder you guys suck. That's the other thing that I was just struck by. What the hell? Going into that debate last night, those two guys are basically tied. There's like the country is split right down the middle. I'm like, how is Trump tied? How is Trump not winning by like 30 points? Let's see how honest the 50% of Americans who were counting themselves as Biden supporters, let's see how honest they are now. All right? Let's give it a couple of days and the first polls will come out. Let's see, because I would expect Trump to just go up like a rocket ship simply because Joe Biden he was smoother. Trump was smoother. Look, there was a lot of word salad there. That was the problem with him. He was just word salading it up. He was a salesman. He's a flim-flam man. He came through town. He sold some snake oil last night, and he sounded good and looked better doing it. That's what we got. And then we got, again, the other guy who's trying to evade a silver alert. They're looking for me. Can we make this quick? All right. I'm ready for a Trump second term. How about you? Let's go. Let's see what happens. It'll be funny. Let's just go with it. It'll be funny. Supreme Court of the United States is also, it's Friday. What are they doing? They doing anything? What the hell news am I watching? Am I watching Sky News? This looks like Sky News. How did I start watching Sky News behind me? Well, I mean, I was watching Sky News earlier today because I wanted to see what international takes were on the on the debate last night. That's always fun because the people in England and the political pundits in England. It was a big story over there. They all talked about it all morning long, or it was actually over there. It's evening, but it was morning here, and I was watching it. They're not partisan. They're not American Republicans or American Democrats. They didn't grow up in the South or grow up in the North. They don't. It's not. There's none of that. They're just watching American politics without having a horse in the race and talking about what they saw. And it's amazing. It's amazing. CNN may not have fact-checked these two fibbers yesterday, but Sky News sure did this morning. Went through the whole list of lies and mistruths and what they were allowed to say and get away with. They think we're funny. They can't believe that this is where American political discourse is, not just on the streets of Springfield, USA, but like at the highest levels, at a presidential debate, a one-on-one debate. That's what the rest of the world thinks of us. Supreme Court is making a whole bunch of decisions. They do anything yet today? Jesus, I got to turn it. All right, I don't want to be on Sky News. Maybe we should go try. Hold on. Stupid app. Let's go to CNN. Hey. All right, Smee. Smee says already, I got to take off and get some stuff done before my weekend. Y'all have a good night, and I'll talk with you on Monday. See you, Smee. Have a good weekend, buddy. All you folks have a good weekend. Numbers, our shows are going to start going down. Our views are going to start going down. We're just absolutely going to take it in the fucking nuts this month. Bye, Smee. There he goes. Jeff Ballard says America is on the verge of collapse. I do not agree with that specific hyperbole. It's not going to collapse. I don't believe that. What America is we're going to continue with nonsense changes that just get undone every 4 years. Look, we are anesthetized by our phones and our digital connections. We're not going to do anything that's going to upset that. We're on the verge of collapse. I mean, collapse to me suggests that civil war again. That's not going to happen. Yeah, the first state that loses internet, word's going to get out. And other states are going to be like, wait, what? This is what happens? No internet? The internet goes away during a civil war? They blew up AT&T and now my phone doesn't work. I mean, I don't think we're going to get there. We enjoy bickering too much, Jeff. I really think that that's a big part of the sauce here. That we, on some level, we enjoy this division, which I'm starting to reluctantly accept. Because, I fought the division, but, maybe it's time to join a side. I don't know. Oh, God, I want to sleep at night. I want to be comfortable in my opinions. And thanks to you good people, I'm allowed to be. So I appreciate you. All right, Supreme Court of the United States, they got a whole bunch of stuff they're going to do. They're dragging their feet. We're waiting on a whole bunch of stuff. Supreme Court, blah, blah. I'm tired of talking about them. They're going to be back. I guess they're going to be back on Monday. It was assumed that they would cut for the summer after today, but no. Jeez, look at everybody I'm reading the headline there. Everybody making excuses for Biden. It's bad when nobody is even remotely pushing back on the question of why did he shit the bed? I mean, that's the question. Why did he shit the bed last night? And typically you would push back on that. You'd be like, oh, please, I don't think we need that kind. Nobody's pushing back. It's, hey, excuse me, why did Biden shit the bed? And it's like, well, he had a cold. And it's like there's an acknowledgement. That's a problem. Your ease in acknowledging that it's also a problem because it seems like you're being dismissive of it. I want maybe more emergency, maybe more, Uvalde. Let's talk about this. This is I think I have a take on this, and I'm a little bit afraid to share my take on this because if it's wrong, then I'll feel really bad about it. But And there's no undoing the genie from the bottle. Or I guess the proper way to say that, there's no way to get the genie back in the bottle. I'm such a moron. So the chief of police of the Uvalde, I want to get this right. You know what? Yeah, let's just read it. Let's just get it right. There were indictments. Police officers have been indicted down in Uvalde over the Robb Elementary School shooting. Former Uvalde school police officer has been indicted in first ever criminal charges over failed response to 2022 mass shooting. I'm going to read this. I want to make sure that we read this because I want it out there the way it's being presented, because I got some takes on this and there's some shit I want to say. And I want to make sure it's right before I say something that's wrong and unnecessarily inflammatory. A grand jury has indicted 2 former Uvalde school police officers in the botched law enforcement response to the 2022 mass shooting at Robb Elementary School that left 19 children and 2 teachers dead. 2 Texas state government sources with knowledge of the indictment reported Thursday. Former Uvalde Consolidated Independent School District Police Chief. Well, now, isn't that quite the title? How big is this man's business card? Uvalde Consolidated Independent School District Police Chief Pete Arredondo. Let's try that again. Make sure we get it right. Make sure you don't forget this man's name. Uvalde Consolidated Independent School District Police Chief Pete Arredondo and former school police officer Adrian Gonzalez were named in the indictments, which represent the first criminal charges filed in the school massacre. Arredondo surrendered himself to the custody of the Texas Rangers in Uvalde on Thursday, an official with the Texas Department of Public Safety reported to CNN. The former chief was booked on 10 counts of child endangerment and known criminal negligence. So those are his charges: 10 counts of criminal endangerment and known criminal negligence. Chief Arredondo, was then released on bond, according to the Uvalde jail. All right, the indictments against Gonzalez was not immediately available. Our administration, here's a quote now about these indictments. Our administration has not been contacted by the district attorney's office regarding any of our staff, and we don't have any comment at this time regarding this matter, the Uvalde Police Department said in a statement on Facebook. Chief Arredondo faces 10 felony charges of child endangerment and failing to recognize the incident as an active shooting, and for failing to take proper action to intervene, according to the indictment. And these behaviors placed each child in imminent danger of bodily injury, death, physical impairment, and mental impairment. Officer Gonzalez also faces felony charges of abandoning and endangering a child. I don't know what the details are there. Okay, so we understand what's going on here. Now, here's a question that I have. This guy's the chief of the Uvalde Independent School District. What is that? Is that the Uvalde Police Department? What, are you telling me that this entire operation was being run by a couple of police school resource officers? Is that who we're putting the blame on here? Is there no actual police department in Uvalde? Is there no county sheriff? Is there no Texas Rangers that could have taken over? I mean, this is what we're a couple of years out, and the people that we're going to send to jail are going to be like the rent-a-cops? All I'm saying is it can't stop here. There's no way it can stop here. You can't play this guy. Here's what they're being charged with. 77 minutes. I don't know. Maybe we haven't all. Maybe I'm the only dark weirdo who has seen these documentaries about what went on and watched all the raw footage. It's 77 minutes. This cop, Chief Arredondo, was first on the scene. He was the school chief there. I think the other guy, Gonzalez, was first on the scene, but he pulled back and waited for the chief. The chief showed up. They were about to go in together to stop the slaughter that was occurring in the schools. And then they got scared and backed off and stayed outside and made the decision. And this is where the charges come from, because these are the early decisions. But hold on. Stay with me in this conversation. The early decision by the school resource officer, the guy who's just there to like stop smoking on school grounds. That's like his job. That's what they do. I don't know why they've been assigned to the school. Is this something to do with their skill set? I don't know. But that's who these guys are. So this is happening, and the dude runs in, and these two guys chicken out. Apparently, they pull back, and Chief Arredondo in this moment decides to classify the situation as a standoff, as a barricaded situation, instead of, hey, chase after that guy. He's about to slaughter a room full of kids. They saw him run into the school, and they went, I'm not going in there. And then when the other police began to show up, that was the initial report from the chief who was there. Hi, I'm the chief of the school parking lots. How are you? Well, I'm the county sheriff. I think the county sheriff at some point, probably very early on, should have taken control and reassessed the situation that was earlier diagnosed by the school rent-a-cop. The school rent-a-cop, barricaded situation. Let's not go in. I think he's barricaded in there. As soon as the county cop shows up, or as soon as the Uvalde chief shows up, as soon as anybody that outranks a school resource officer shows up, that should have been reclassified for 77 minutes. You're telling me for 77 minutes, the police in that jurisdiction allowed the major decision of the moment to be made by the school resource officer? That's the guy who we're celebrating that we're putting in jail? I believe he should be in jail. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think this is where we stop. There was a shit ton of cowardly decisions made while children were being slaughtered. We all lived through it. Remember, that's a very near and dear situation to this show. It was happening while this show was in progress. We covered it from the very earliest reports of a situation, and then we abandoned it, because there was about 3 hours of silence. It's about 3 hours of silence for the rest of us and 77 minutes of absolute torturous hell for those children. But we got the school rent-a-cops. We got them. All right. Woo, we're good. No. I want the head of DPS. I want the head of Texas DPS to talk about where were his officers. I want the county sheriff. I want the town sheriff. I don't give a shit that you fired the school police chief. And by the way, what are we talking about here? We're talking about Uvalde. Are these the only two cops in the Uvalde School District Police Department? Like, how many schools are there in Uvalde? Are we talking about Plano? Are we talking about, we've got over 150 resource officers spread out across 15 campuses? Or is it Uvalde? It's like a couple of schools that has some history of gang violence. So they take the worst cop in town and they say, okay, now you're in charge of these schools. Is that what it is? Are those the guys we got? Because I'm sorry, I just don't feel confident that problem solved because we got a couple of school rent-a-cops. That's the Uvalde situation. But we move on. How about this one? Oklahoma schools throwing down with some hardcore religious shit. Oklahoma schools yesterday. The state. Look, this is silly. And here's what's going on. Superintendent of Oklahoma schools wants to run for governor. That's what's happening. That's exactly what's happening here. The superintendent of schools in Oklahoma wants to run for governor, or maybe senator. But my point is this: much higher profile office. So the superintendent of all the public schools, taxpayer schools, federal funded schools, that kind of thing. The superintendent of schools in Oklahoma announced yesterday that now all public schools must incorporate the Bible and the 10 Commandments into curriculums. I don't give a shit about it. Like the whole, you guys can get all spun out on your partisan. Well, it's about keeping Bible out of school. No, it's not. It's about this dude wants to be governor. That's what this is about. That's what we should be focused on. This dude wants to be governor or senator or something more high profile, because here's what he's doing. He's the superintendent of schools in Oklahoma. He has demanded, I hereby decree that in public schools, the Bible will now replace the math book or whatever, but that's what he's doing. He can't do that. He can't do that. He can't do that. And it's going to be clear the very first court case. I mean, before it's even implemented, before this becomes an actual part of Oklahoma public school curriculum, it's good. There's going to be injunctions, and so it's never actually going to be a thing. But what is it right now? This guy in Oklahoma, anybody who votes according to this kind of thing, anybody who wants, I want the Bible in schools, they all know who this guy is. His profile just jumped way up on something that is so absurd. You can't do this. You can announce it. I am the supreme superintendent of schools in Oklahoma, and on this day I decree that the Lord's word shall be taught from the gymnasiums to the cafeterias in all public schools in the great state of Oklahoma. That's what he did. He just did that. You can do that. Now, in the past, you didn't do that because you would somehow, in a shame-based culture, you would be embarrassed and humiliated when it, gets struck down immediately by the very first court. But we don't live in that world anymore. None of these people have any shame-based principle system that they operate on. No, what he is, he's like, man, everybody on Twitter is going to be talking about me. Ooh, I'm going to be trending. Ooh, we're going to put up a link to maybe a war chest for me, and then I'm coming for the governor's chair. That's what this is. This is a work. Now, you're all being spun up because of the issue of the Bible in the schools. Fuck that. That's not what this is about. This is about one man, the superintendent of school. What's his name? Yeah, we should say his name just so we know, because we know we're going to hear. I promise you, we've never heard this name before. We're going to start hearing it. He's going to start popping up. All right. What's this dude's name? A State Board of Education meeting, Oklahoma State Superintendent of Public Instruction, Ryan Walters, ladies and gentlemen. Hi, I'm Ryan Walters, and I've been a proud Oklahoman all my 32 years. Because, he's probably a kid. He's probably Madison Cawthorn, but better with stairs. He's one of those guys. I'm 30. Oh my God, how old is he? I thought it just said that he was 33, but that might be just a number for something else. Anyway, let's remember that name, Ryan Walters, because he wants bigger things. He wants bigger things. Oklahoma State Superintendent declares that now the Bible is going to be taught in Oklahoma public schools. Do you hear that, ACLU? Oh, okay. Sorry. I should have known, ACLU. Already all over it. I got you. All right, what else do we got? Hey, here's an interesting question. Do you ever want to flip off a cop? Fuck you. Yeah, look at this asshole. Huh? Look at this guy. You ever want to do that? Don't. I mean, why? Why be unnecessarily aggressive in that way? There's no need for that. So I guess maybe you've asked yourself, maybe you're a dirtbag. Can I flip off that cop? Is it legal? Well, here, let me give you this story, because we have definitive news on whether or not you as an American citizen are allowed to just for no reason flip off a cop. Hold on. The dog just went a little nuts. It's because a UPS truck is across the street. Come here, lay down. Come on, down here. Come here. Come on over here. Come on. I got to distract her, or else she's going to just go completely nuts. All right. Where was I? What were we talking about? Oh, yeah. Can you flip off a cop? Okay. So here, this story comes to us out of Vermont. He flipped off a trooper and got charged. Oh, what happened there? Vermont. I'm not going to tell you that. I'm going to bury the lead, as we say in journalism here, just so that we can think about what should happen. This lawsuit was filed in 2021, but it was adjudicated just yesterday. Filed in 2021 by the aforementioned ACLU. doing God's work, like defending our right to flip off a cop. You gotta love that. Don't love a whole lot the ACLU's been involved in over their history, but I do love this. There is a place in my world for the ACLU. So the ACLU took this case. The ACLU's like, you can't just arrest a dude for flipping off a cop. Look, are you saying, look, cops can be dicks. I was raised with cops. What do I say? My mom just retired from the Illinois State Police. My mom. So, I know cops. I can talk shit about cops if I want. And when it's deserved, I will. Because there are some dick cops. That's just the fact of life. So there's some very good men. Just like, I don't know if you know this, there's some very good dentists. There's also some dick dentists. The lawsuit filed in 2021 by the ACLU of Vermont on behalf of Gregory Bombard of St. Albans. Gregory Bombard brought this charge. It says Bombard's First Amendment rights were violated after an unnecessary traffic stop and retaliatory arrest back in 2018. Trooper Jay Riggin is the epicenter of this story. Trooper Jay Riggin, I just want to say, probably needs to have some anger management. And I'm not saying he's got to go to one of those goddamn share groups once a week. No, but maybe just, a little self-evaluation, a little introspection, little acknowledgement that maybe sometimes you give in to the native instincts of your worst emotional traits. Maybe, sometimes a little bit. Trooper Jay Riggin stopped Bombard in St. Albans on February 9th, 2018, because he believed Bombard had showed him the middle finger. So the cop just pulls him over because he's like, "You flip me off?" And the dude's like, "All right, here you go." Well, you know what? I won't. I'll just give you this story. Trooper Jay Riggin stopped Bombard's vehicle in St. Albans on February 9th, 2018, because he believed Bombard had shown him the middle finger, according to the lawsuit. Bombard denied that, but says he did curse and display the middle finger once the initial stop was concluded. All right, so here's what happened. So Bombard, this dude, he's driving, and all of a sudden he looks in his rearview mirror and the lights are on. Boop, 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 pull it over. So he pulls over and the cop gets out. This guy, remember I told you about him, Jay Riggin, got some trouble controlling his emotions. Jay Riggin walks up to the Bombard vehicle. He's like, "You flip me off?" Could you imagine that? Could you imagine? Now, I guess I could imagine if I did flip a cop off just for some random reason, but I probably wouldn't do that because I don't feel, I'm not unnecessarily antagonistic. So I probably would not be that guy. But all right, let's say he says he didn't. So the guy says he didn't pull him over, Bombard, or didn't flip him off. Bombard got it wrong. And then Bombard's like, "Yeah, well," he's the cop. "Yeah, well, you better not flip me off." And as he was walking back to his car, the dude Bombard is like, "Fuck you." And then he does flip him off and drives away. At which point, Officer Jay Riggin lights him up, pulls him over again, and arrests him, takes him down in cuffs, ruins his night, probably better part of the next day, does that, ruins it all. Why? Because he flipped him off. The ACLU says that's not illegal. That's a false arrest. What are you doing? You can't just arrest people because they don't like you. People don't have to like all cops. And that is not a physical assault. And it's not even a well-defined, well, I guess it is pretty well-defined. I was going to say not a well-defined vulgarity, but it is. I guess we all know what flipping someone off is. So anyway, that dude got $175,000 from the state of Vermont. They just settled it. State of Vermont's like, "Yeah, okay. I know. You can't arrest somebody for $100, $175,000. There you go. All right. I'll tell you, I'll spend a terrible night in some county lockup for something absurd like being charged with flipping off a cop for $175,000, even if it is like 6 years later, because didn't this happen in 2018? All right, 6 years later, $175,000. That's like an added $30,000. I can't retire, but yeah, it's like an added $30,000 prorated. I don't know. I can't do the math. 6 times 3, 1, 8. Yeah, it's okay. Never mind. Moving on. But I was right. How about this? Bad day yesterday for the NFL. Bad day for the NFL because they lost a big. Well, I don't know if they. I'm going to read this one to you as well. You know what's going on with the class action suit against Sunday Ticket? You guys used to have Sunday Ticket. So basically, here's a problem with Sunday Ticket. Sunday Ticket is being accused of being a monopoly, violating antitrust agreements by being the only one company, DirecTV, or it used to be, I guess it's YouTube now. One company is the only place that out-of-town sports fans can watch their teams. There was some talk here about the situation concerning this being an antitrust violation is because that they do not allow an audience to pick game by game or team by team, which I guess they're saying would make it basically they charge you a shit ton of money. Like it's like $5 million for the football season. And everybody gets it is like me. Everybody who gets it is just an out of town fan. I'm like, I just want to watch Tampa Bay Buccaneers games in Cleveland. I don't know why I got to pay $400. And one of the things that they were able to prove against the NFL in this Sunday ticket case was that had been something that was considered over time to allow more and more competitiveness and all this kind of thing. There was also talk about allowing certain games in specific markets to appear on cable channels. Anyway, Sunday ticket and the NFL knocked all of that shit down, not allowing people there was a $70 a season ticket option that was proposed that they almost went with in 2018 that would have allowed people like myself. Like all I watch on Sunday ticket are Bears games. That's it. That's all I watch. So it would allow someone like me to be able to just pay for the Bears games. And it would be like I think they said it was $65, $70 a year, a season. That's worth it. That's worth it. It's not worth it. $600 or whatever the hell. It's the ridiculous price it is. So that's what happened in a court. The NFL lost. Here, I'm going to read you. I want to give you the exact numbers. This is an absolute, this is couch change to the NFL. But still, it's a big judgment. The NFL has been found guilty of breaking antitrust laws in its distribution of out-of-market Sunday afternoon games on the Sunday ticket. Even though the jury of 5 men and 3 women in the U.S. District Court awarded nearly $4.8 billion in damages Thursday to residential and commercial subscribers of Sunday Ticket, don't expect any settlement checks or the shuttering of the service anytime soon. What did the jury determine? The league broke antitrust laws by selling Sunday Ticket only on DirecTV and at an inflated price. By offering the service on only one distributor, and with a higher price, that limited the subscriber base and satisfied concerns by CBS and Fox about preserving local. I don't know what whatever. Anyway, I don't know what kind of changes this is going to be, but I guess if you were a subscriber, you might be getting a check in the mail in 10 years, in 10, 15 years. That's when you'll finally get paid on this. Because although the American system of justice is the finest, most tested in the world's history, it is extremely flawed, but it's the best we got. It's going to take us about 15 years to get your Sunday ticket refund. Let's see, let's do this. Kevin Costner's new movie, Horizons, is opening. It's in theaters today. I love Kevin Costner. Not in a real hurry to see this movie. I gotta be honest with you. Here's the problem with Kevin Costner's movie, Horizons, opening up in theaters. The audience that wants to see Horizons, Western epic, this is a big deal for them going to movies. They ain't been to movies in 10 years. I'm talking like 55 plus. We don't go to movies anymore. If we do, it's only for a special occasion. And is this that special occasion? That's the question that will be asked this weekend to see how Horizons, an American Saga, part 1 of like a 4-part. He's got $50 million of his own money in this thing. If it flops, oh my God. So keep a lookout for that. I'm sure I'll be reporting on how Horizon, Costner's big epic Western, did at the box office this weekend. Tune in on Monday to find out. We got a guy who killed somebody. You interested in the last meal? I don't know why I went with this story, but I think I was hungry at the time. And the headline caught my attention. It said, this death row's last meal is enough to give you a heart attack. And I was like, I'm interested in that. I'll read one. I wonder what this little scamp, what this little rascal, what he asked for in his last meal. Because we're thinking of the fun of the last meal and not even at all considering the grotesque and horrific crime this guy is being put down for, which involves the dismemberment, murder, and rape of a 7-year-old child. So, so we know what we're dealing with here. He's gone. He was killed at 10:16 a.m. yesterday in Oklahoma. He was Oklahoma's longest serving death row inmate. His name is Richard Rome Jr. He murdered his ex-wife's daughter, Layla Cummings, when she was 7. But he got his last meal. So, I've often thought about this, like, your last meal, because I think, for my last meal, that would be great. Everybody has a skewed idea of what they have access to. Oh, I'm going to get like a piping hot pizza from my favorite pizza restaurant. Dude, that pizza restaurant is 3,000 miles away from where you're being put to death. They ain't going to get you that pizza. You want pizza? They're going to get you Domino's. How you like that, playa? That's, oh, and I'm going to have a meatball sandwich from Vinny's in the Bronx. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're getting a Hot Pocket. You're getting like a box of Hot Pocket meatball with Parmesan. That's what you're getting. We have a serious misperception of what this. I'm going to get Kobe. I'm going to get the most exotic steak. And no, you're not. No, you're not. You want steak? You know what you're going to get? You're going to get ground beef shaped like a fillet and then cooked. That's what you're going to get. It's this idea that they get these lavish meals. They don't. They get a ballpark replication of their dream meal. At least that's the idea. Now, I don't know what it used to be, but I know what it is now. And I certainly know that in this guy's case, man, you want to talk about just an absolute mid last meal. Although, and this is the only reason we're talking about this, he wanted something in his last meal that I think is sketchy. And I don't know if it has anything to do with like, well, he's about to be killed. What does this mean? This is something about your body. Anyway, he asked for a weird ingredient. So here you go. This is what he want. Rome, what was his name? We don't care. Fuck this guy. He killed a kid. But here's what his last meal was. All right. Why can't I find his last meal now? Oh man, this guy is he's like an old man too. Hold on, the computer. I'm trying to fill time. Trying to fill time as the computer takes. All right, here we go. This dude's last meal. This is his dream meal, his last meal on Earth. Rome dined on a Little Caesars pizza, topped with 8 sachets of salt. Now that's what's that about? 8 sachets of, I don't know what a sachet is. Okay, I'm assuming it's one of those little salt packets. Couldn't you have said packet? Why didn't you say packet? Is a sachet not a packet? I don't know what a sachet is, but 8 of them? He's about to die. Is there a reason that he seems to be overloading on salt before death? Does that do something? I don't know. I just thought it was interesting. Let's back it up a little bit, though. His last meal is Little Caesars pizza. Good. Good for you, you murderous pedophile son of a bitch. I'm glad your last meal is Little Caesars pizza. Seems appropriate. Okay, but it's not all. That's not all he had. Remember, he's got super salty Little Caesars pizza. He also had 8 crushed red pepper packets. So he's got 8 things of salt on his Little Caesars pizza and 8 things of red pepper packets. He had a couple of servings of, are you ready for this? Vanilla ice cream. You went with vanilla? You went, of all the ice creams in the world, this is your last ice cream. You went with vanilla. You went with Little Caesars pizza and vanilla ice cream. All right, what are you going to wash this down with? You're going to have to wash this down with something. You got to bring it home, right? What do you want, a nice cold Bud Light with something like that? Maybe a nice tall Guinness. Okay, can't have alcohol. That's fine. How about a frosty mug of some really nice local root beer? What are you going to do? What are you washing it down with? Here's what he did. He washed it down with a large cup of room temperature. Room temperature is very important. Ginger ale. What? So you got super salty and hot Little Caesars pizza. You got vanilla ice cream and a warm paper cup of what? Ginger ale? Ginger ale. You didn't even go with Sprite, 7-Up? Come on, man. Ginger ale? Where did they go? Where did they kill you? The 1960s? All right, there you go. Anyway, death row inmate. Got no good food. No good food whatsoever. What else do we have here? What else do we have here? Isn't this nice? Oh, here's a nice thing, although also a stupid thing. LeBron James and his son get to play together. That's like little LeBron Jr. LeBron Bron. I don't know what is his name. Bronny is his name LeBron? I don't know. I don't care. LeBron Jr. Little LeBron's son, LeBron James, of course, the second best basketball player in the world. You think I'm going to play that fucking game? Where I'm like, LeBron, the greatest player. I'm not going to play that game. Michael Jordan. Not even for the purpose of this am I going to pretend like LeBron is somehow better than Jordan. But hey, he's great. He is without doubt the second greatest basketball player that's ever played the game. My point is this. For the first time in history, you're going to have a great and his son playing on the same team at the same time. And the Lakers blew their second round pick, dredging this bag of silver spoon dead weight onto their team. They blew. I mean, look, it's a second round pick in the NBA. You know, I mean, that's you know, a lot of those guys get sent to the G League anyway, or overseas. But whatever. The point is this: it's kind of a nice story, but it's also like, oh, no, another rich kid getting some special treatment. LeBron James, if he was not LeBron James' son, he would not have been drafted. He wouldn't have been drafted into the NBA. He wasn't that great. He's okay. He's a developmental project. Just like there's a whole lot of them out there. And maybe that would have been his course. Or maybe he's not even really good enough for that. Maybe maybe he's just what, but his dad is LeBron James. So this poor kid, he's got a shadow now. And it's always been his dad's dream. You know, his dad dreams of playing with Bronny. And so that pressure's on the kid. Now the kid gets drafted when he probably shouldn't get drafted. And he gets drafted by his dad's team. It all looks very manufactured. And now this kid's got to carry that around. People like me. He's 19. What is he, 19? People like me going, well, he shouldn't have been drafted. And the Lakers blew a pick. And then, you got to consider the other dude out there. There is some dude who did not get drafted because LeBron James' son just had to ascend to the highest level of basketball, the NBA, in these here United States. So I don't know. It's very complicated. But again, also kind of nice. As a father, I look at it like a situation can be many things. Just like our next story. Now, I said at the start of the show that what occurred last night, the debate for president of these here United States between sitting President Joseph Aloysius Biden and Donald Hermaphrodite Trump. I don't know. Is that a real name? I was making up fake middle names. I meant to, what did I say? Hermaphrodite? Oh my God. Let's check in with the dog licking her butt again. Look at her. She's biting her tail. She's like going nuts. What are you doing? Oh, it's so irritating. Boop. Here we go. Back to pretty. Okay. Oh, man. Now I'm screwed. I'm kind of in trouble. I made a mistake. No, the world is not what we thought it was. All right. That's going to be fun. We're going to do it like that. So that's nice. Covered LeBron James. Last night we all watched American Citizens in horror. That's not good. I don't like how that's angled. That's angled kind of weird. There we go. We'll just do it right there. We all red-blooded, God-fearing, baseball-loving, road-raging American citizens. We were highly, highly entertained by what went down on television last night. For a great many of us, it was pretty embarrassing. It was like, this is it. This is what our country has to offer. But I promised, as I told you at the start of this show today, that was not the most embarrassing thing that occurred last night. The most embarrassing thing that happened last night was a football game between Team USA. Did you even know this? Did you even know that there was a Team USA American football game or American football team that represents. Did you know that they even played American football in other countries? I mean, I assume they did badly if Canada is any indication. Certainly not to the level that we've become accustomed to here with the NFL. But yeah, apparently they got teams. They are developing players around the world to compete in American football. Now, we're not far enough along, like we are with other sports. Like, they're not, it's not like baseball where there's good competitive teams playing American rules football. And this is, by the way, this is an under 20. This is developmental. This is what you need around the world. You need kids to start playing the game. So this is a world tournament, like an Olympic tournament with Team America and you get Team Canada. And there's all these other teams and they come together and they play for, what is this title? Hold on. We've never heard of this before. You know why? Because it's not a big thing. And it's been around for a while. It is not a big thing. IFAF Under 20 World Junior Championships of American football. Now, one would expect that we would be the overwhelming favorites in an under 20 tournament of American football, right? Of course, because it's our sport. We invented it. People have probably only been playing it. I'm sure that all these under 20 kids from Yugoslavia playing American football, I bet you their granddads didn't play pigskin football. So this is, we should have an advantage. So we took on the team from Japan, Team Japan yesterday. And, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, the most embarrassing thing that occurred for American citizens, the Trump-Biden debate. What is it? Hold on. Wait, I got to get the score right. 40, 20. Do I have this right? Hold on. I'm trying to find it. What the fuck is this? Hold on, guys. Something's getting screwed up. I had a whole thing that I was going to show you. All right, we'll do this. Watch this. No, 41-20. All right, it was 41-20. The United States under 20 American football team lost to the Japanese team, Team Japan. Here, we've got some highlights here. I'm going to show you this. And then we're going to talk about what we're actually looking at before we get completely crestfallen. That, oh my God, here's another sport we've lost control of. We lost control of basketball. We saw that the other night. We saw that 2 nights ago at the NBA draft when the first 2 picks off the board were French high school kids. And then like 2 more in the top 10 were like French kids. The French are dominating NBA basketball. Japan won the World Baseball Classic. They kicked our ass last year. Remember, we all watched it. We're like, how the hell did Japan get so good at basketball? We know that. We've never been good at soccer. We've never dominated hockey. That's always been like Canada or Finland or something. All we had was American rules football. We invented it. We made it up. We totally made it up. This ain't like soccer. This ain't like rugby. This is a totally unique thing that we created here. And, well, here you go. Let's watch some highlights from the under 20 Team America playing Team Japan in football.
And semifinal Wednesday is underway from Edmonton. And Team USA, it's Jaden Alston. He'll be taken down pretty quickly. It's in 2 touchdowns for Team USA. So it is Appler, scrambles, calls his own number. Kaboom! And he is met with ferocity by... Is that number 5 or number 6?
Here comes Japan. Look at this guy. This guy's just mowing through people. Team Japan. This is shockingly bad. Oh, is this going to be a turnover for Team USA? Probably. Oh no, this is this is like the worst coaching call of all time right here for Team USA. Check this out. Oh, jeez. Oh, my God. Are you kidding me? You called that play at the goal line? Jesus. Anyway, the United States, an embarrassing loss. Kick it in. Japan waxed our clock in football. Under 20. I didn't read the whole thing. I don't care what happens next in this tournament. It's not like I'm following it. I didn't know it existed. The only reason I know it existed is because a bunch of 19-year-old Japanese kids beat the hell out of a bunch of 19-year-old American kids at football. At George Halas, Vince Lombardi football. Now, before we get upset, okay, I did a little research into this organization, and I've watched a couple of other people, pros, experts on YouTube, breaking this down and explaining what's going on here. This is not really an official team, although it would be. If American rules football ever actually rose to the level on the international stage where it was a moneymaker, or where it was, growing in popularity the way maybe other sports like baseball did or whatever, then we'd have a different situation right here, and we would choose our players differently. However, as it stands, because nobody knows about this tournament, there's no glory. There's no scouts to give a shit about how you played in the under 20 international football tournament. They don't care. So what happens is, the best players under 20, and we're talking about all the way up to what? Juniors in high school. So like redshirt freshman, soft second year of college. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about college players. We're talking about a lot of college players who just go 1 year and then join the NFL. So if we really, truly, as a nation, needed to field our best under 20 team, we could. But we don't, because it's football and there is no glory in this. And if some blue chip 5-star recruit blows out his knee in some stupid game playing a bunch of dudes from Yugoslavia, well, you understand how we're not sending our best and our brightest. So what is this team? Because an exhibition elite level American style football league team, there's going to be injuries. And unless there's, something on the other side. So what is this team? So here's what this team is. This team is made up of a bunch of Division III, a bunch of JUCO players who are good. They're okay. They're not good. They're not good enough to be at like a real school. They're okay. Neighborhood sandlot hero types, if you will. That's who they are. But also, here's what they are. They are the children of a bunch of really rich guys who, I just want my son to be a football player, because players are recruited. They're invited to play for this team and then charged like 10 grand. It's a money. Half the kids on that team pay to be on that team because their dads or whatever, their family, it's a good opportunity for my boy. I got to get him noticed. We made the under 20 national team. And then anybody who knows goes, oh, yeah, that means your kid's, kind of good, not really good, because nobody who's really good plays in that tournament because injuries in football are way too serious. So that's what it was. Now, whereas I have absolutely no doubt that what we saw were the best under 20 Japanese football players out there, we did not see the best American under 20 football players out there. That wasn't Arch Manning. Sorry, that wasn't Arch Manning playing quarterback. Stop it. That wasn't. So America, relax. We're okay. That's a cash grab scheme, and it embarrassed us. It really embarrassed us, but here we are. Who was it? I think it was somebody who was at Pat McAfee yesterday who did a really big breakdown on it because one of his interns actually had a letter. One of his interns is like a Division III lineman. And this organization had contacted him and was like, yeah, here's what it's going to cost. Just if you give us this much money, you can be on Team USA. You're a Division III player. This will be good for your profile. That's the pitch. So McAfee, actually, they had the letter. They're reading the letter. It's like, oh, this is like one of those bullshit modeling companies. You ever seen those modeling companies? They put people in suits in malls and they stop teenagers. And they stop teenagers like, excuse me, my name is Brad Childress, and I just happen to be at this store, and I'm from Elite Mega Models, and I've just discovered you. You're going to be a star, young lady. This is my card. I want you to go home and talk to your parents about this, and then give me a call. And then the little girl goes home and goes, Mom, Dad, I got this covered. And then some bullshit phony guy is like, okay, so here's what it is. It's a package. It's going to be $1,000 for your headshots. Right? That's the scam. So that's what this is. That's what this is for football. That's what this is for football and for like football dads with a lot of extra money who, just want to spend. Hey, I'm going to give my kid every advantage. Your kid sucks. Your kid's got a 5.6 40 and he's a tight end. You honestly think that this is going to get him to the next level? Dad, give it up. Well, I'll just write another check and we'll make sure that Junior can tell people that he plays for Team USA. Yeah, but Team USA ain't really a real thing. Football, American football ain't an Olympic sport. Look, there's probably a Team USA lawn jarts league, but that ain't getting you laid anymore. There is no Team USA football. There's not. There's this, but stop acting like there's some prestige to it. Although there is a history. There is a history of certain big name players who are actually in the NFL being involved with this organization. That game has shockingly had a number of big players, like big name young under 20 players. Like I believe it was like a 15-year-old Drake May played in that game. So the really young ones, and some of those guys have gone through. But Drake May, he wasn't playing in the under 20 international team when he was on the roster at North Carolina. His coach wasn't going to allow him to do that. So, when they say, we've got a proud history, we're not a fake organization, we've got all these players. Like, yeah, you had these players when they were 14, when they were truly developing. You do not have the best under 20 football players in America on this team. It's not even close. All right, well, there you have it. That's going to do it for the show today, folks. I hope you appreciated hanging out with me this week, at least half as much as I appreciated y'all having me. Oh, what are you going to do this weekend? Anything? I've got something very big planned. I'm not going out and I'm not doing anything, but I've got a very exciting project that we're going to start working on hopefully tomorrow. So, and I've got ideas and I've got things. That was a burp for no one in particular. It's just as I wind down the stream of consciousness and the actual Radio Misfit stream, as I wind that stream down, feeling a bit more relaxed. How hot is it? Is it still hot? We're at that point of summer. We're like, oh yeah, we don't care. It's like 1 billion degrees again. 98. All right, we're looking at 98 degrees. Says today's high feels like 108. It sure as shit does. 108. All right, that's going to do it. We're going to wrap this up. I'm out of here. If you want to help support the show, that would be great. Please. I think we're in real trouble this month, and I know that. Look, I don't lie to you. I panic every month. This month, I think we're in very real trouble, and we'll have more on that in the coming weeks. But changes. That's why we call it the Rant now. That's why we're not calling it the High Noon Rant. It's now just the Rant. Trying to float that. Might have to. I don't know. You have a good weekend. I'm going to have a good weekend. I love you all, and we shall be back here at noon on Monday. Bye, everybody.